Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Welcome to yet another Friday, Free Speech Friday, hanging out. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me on a Friday. I'm sure there's other things you could be doing. It's been an interesting week this week. There's been a lot of news, a lot of stuff I've been talking about that has just been kind of just odd to me, odd. Today's video was kind of odd too, and we'll go through any of these that you want to, but before I get into the whole spiel, because Fabiola's not here to kick me, I'm going to try to stay on track. You know it'll never happen. I got that ADD stuff, you know that. Anyways, guys, let me say hello to everybody. Let's see. Disabled Army veteran, thank you for your service. Appreciate you being here. David is here. Lost Gala in the house. Radioactive Texan. Who else we got here? Moving down. William. How are you doing, William? Thank you for being here. Fragile is in the house. Ice-T is here. Joe Hood Nick is here. Who else we got? If you're new or old, just say hello in the comments so I can recognize you. Let's see. The Ordway. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Sky Meters in the house. Brian Snyder is here. Thomas W. or Thomas F. Walton, thank you very much for being here. Let's see. Thomas is here. Thomas Marshall, thank you for being here. 2007. So this has been a very interesting week because, you know, I was covering topics that I didn't think that I would be covering, and sure damn enough, they're in front of me, front and center, and I'm like, what is going on? I can't even believe it, really. Today's video was about what is going on over there with, you know, the competitors. I hate to even call them competitors, because they're really not. Jeff Bezos is like the biggest competitor, obviously, with his Project Kuiper. Now it's called Amazon Leo. But he's got like 350, 360 satellites on orbit. And Elon's got like 10,500, I think now, or something. So it's just, there's such a disparity, it's hard to say that it's a competitor. I mean, you know, maybe he's a competitor in 2 years, maybe 3 years, but probably not even. And the reason being is, you know, number one, first in market is very, very important. But number two, he just doesn't have the ability to fly these satellites on orbit, you know, whereas Elon Musk does with SpaceX, obviously. And I talk about this all the time. You know, I called it the God stack. And people are like, what the hell is the God stack? It's like the Trinity, you know. The way SpaceX and Starlink is put together with xAI and Tesla is quite amazing. I throw Tesla in there, whereas it's actually, you know, it's more like xAI and SpaceX Starlink, but I throw Tesla in there now because of the moves that they're making. And I was talking to you, today's video obviously started out with this. It said, your Starlink speeds aren't just determined by satellites in orbit, they're being shaped in Washington. That has to do with what's going on with this lobbyist group now that's come together. It's called Space Connect Association. Just stop already. It's just another one of these, you know, 501Cs, not for profit, just bullshit things, you know, we know all about it. Behind closed doors, Amazon and the cartel of failed competitors are quickly pushing to artificially throttle your connection. They can't beat SpaceX in space, so they're changing the rules. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to lobby against Elon and his spectrum and what he's doing and how many satellites he can put up there per week, per month, per year. But they're just trying to slow him down any way possible because they can't compete and they need to do something to at least somewhat control what's going on so that they can possibly catch up, which they can't. Shannon with the super chat, thank you so much. Official live. No purple hair day. Yes, I know Fab's not here. I wish you could be here, but she was exhausted, and tomorrow we got like big stuff going on. So I just said, you know what, you rest, honey. I'm gonna go do the show, and I'll see you later on. But thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate that. Let me see. For your chance to win, absolutely nothing except all of the great information Joe gives weekly. I love that. That's good. Thank you so much, Shannon. Appreciate you being here. So that was that's Amazon, number one. Of course, Jeff Bezos is like leading the charge. Then you have Global Star. Global Star is the company that Apple has been using for their DTC service that doesn't work for shit, right? They put a lot of money into Global Star, and come to find out, the writing's on the wall. There's no way they got 48 satellites compared to what Elon has, right? So they decided by iPhone 18 Pro, they're going to just move to Elon's stuff, to Starlink, and their DTC or direct to sell. So Global Star at that point, if you have any investment in Global Star, I would get out of that as soon as possible. That's just between me and you. I am not an investor. Do your due diligence. Iridium is another company involved in this pact, this cartel that's going against Elon. Viasat, EchoStar, which is HughesNet, that whole deal, and of course Telesat. That's just a few of them, the bigger names in there that are putting into this to basically buy like a hit squad, and release the dogs in Washington onto Elon Musk. But that's what happens, If it's not these regulatory bodies, it is, some type of, hit squad like this, that's just what happens. The lobbyists, they'll get involved. They'll turn into a whole shit show. So anyways, that's what we talked about today. And then yesterday's video was kind of interesting. The beginning of it was Elon Musk just filed a new trademark that directly links the Starlink network to Tesla's global fleet. But why? He isn't building another massive data center on Earth or even space. He's weaponizing the assets already sitting in your driveway. Let's look at the math. So this video that I did a couple of days ago was talking about a trademark that he applied for, that he got for this thing called a Megapod. And basically what that Megapod is it's a modular plug and play, which is kind of cool, right? A modular plug and play data center. All right. It has the servers, the AI processing hardware, network, power distribution, cooling, a cooling system, and all the rest of the stuff. It's going to come into either a 10-foot box up to a 40-foot box, and they're just going to drop it on the Tesla super charging stations. So there's two ways of looking at this. I looked at it one way, but there's another way. One way to look at this is that each one of these Tesla charging stations is going to have a small data center sitting there because there's a lot of power there just being wasted when it's not being used, right? Or available power, I should say. The other way to look at it is maybe instead of just that processing power happening inside of those boxes, maybe those boxes are like orchestration for the Tesla cars that are sitting around. Remember, those Tesla cars have about 160, I believe, watts of compute that are just sitting there dormant, doing nothing. And the new AI5, not the AI1, I mean the AI4 right now, but the AI5 is going to have 800 watts of compute. That's a lot of compute dormant. I said, why don't they just do, I said this a year and a half ago, but I'm reiterating based on this mega, what the hell they call it again? Mega whatever the hell that he came up. Mega what? I don't even know what it's called anymore. Anyways, I just told you a second ago. But this whole contraption, this box that they're sticking there, the whole idea of it makes sense. But to me, I would rather use all of these cars or these vehicles as nodes. If you think about it, right? Each one of those vehicles. Can you imagine every one of those cars? Let's say at 800 watts. Okay, 800 watts, sitting in the driveway or sitting inside of a garage for 8 to 10 hours doing nothing. But you sign an agreement and say, yes, you could use my processing when I'm not using it. And then you get a kickback of maybe FSD, or maybe you get, subscription, or maybe you get a kickback of some free hours of charging, or whatever it is, So this Megapod, that's what it's called, Megapod, my mind left. But this Megapod, trademark, I would rather see them doing that. But that's what I predicted. So what they do, I don't know, but we will see. And I know I'm getting a whole bunch of kicks, but there's one more. And the reason I'm telling you guys this at the beginning is then we could have a conversation about any of this stuff, or anything you want to talk about. But the other thing was a story that I did is that Starlink is only half the story, and the system beneath it is bigger. And I was talking to you guys about what is going on with SpaceX Starlink. I said, everyone thinks that Starlink is a satellite internet company. It is not. What you see is only half the system. There is much bigger infrastructure laying or forming underneath it. Compute, AI, global networking, and that changes how Starlink will be seen in the next few years. And I was talking about how Elon Musk is now going to become a landlord. And his Colossus, right, where Grok lives, and Colossus 2, he's already renting this thing out. He's getting he has a signed contract, what is it, for $6.3 billion from a company just to rent out the, processing time on Colossus. So I think by, the time we have this big, massive structure in space, which will be a data center, I think what will end up happening is we will see him turn basically into this massive just landlord, kind of what we see with AWS and with Jeff Bezos, but on even a bigger scale. Because we're talking billions of rental, like $150 million a month, stupid money like that. So anyways, let me get into, so those are some of the stories, okay? So if you want to talk about any of that, throw it in here. If you have a question or have a comment or anything, put at JCristina. It pops up a lot easier and I will see it. Let me see. Thomas F. Walton, thank you so much for that super. I really appreciate that. That is really, really sweet. Thank you so much. I love it. Look at the little dude with the little gold. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just come down here. After that, we have a super chat from Shannon. Megatron. Yes, exactly. It's Megatron, but basically Megapod, Megatron, I don't know. And Shannon also gave free gifted memberships, guys. 20 free gift. If you're one of the 20, right, please say thank you to Shannon. Shannon, thank you for your support all the time. I really appreciate it. It helps out a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, once again, say hello to Shannon and thank you. And Sarah, thank you so much for those kicks. I definitely need those kicks. If Fab's not around, I need someone to keep me on track here. So I'm going to go up to the top, just kind of read through just a little bit. Let me see, Lost Gala, okay, Aliens Netflix, yes, talking amongst each other there. Once again, if you have a question, at JCristina. Williams says, I got 400 down on Starlink the other night. Guys, I want to show you something. Talking about speed, look at this. Let me do top down. Look at that. Now, I don't care about this speed. 273, not great. I mean, it's good. 45 up, that's pretty damn good too, right? But look at the latency, guys. Remember, I've been telling you about this for a while. 15 milliseconds. That is insane. You know what? Let's go ahead and run another test while I have you sitting here, right? Let's go ahead and run another test. But those numbers are that's just amazing to me. That is really strong, really, really strong. Now we got the down speed. It's not great here. What do we got, like 200? Yeah, it must be having a slower bird overhead than normal. I've been seeing this download speed at about 400 lately, 410. And I've been seeing the upload speed at about 50 to 60, which is crazy. Well, we got 37 and we got 27 milliseconds. I knew this was kind of a slow bird. Chances are this is not a 2.0 mini that's above us right now. It's probably the 1.5s. It could even be a 1.0. Those are pretty slow speeds than normal. Anyways, so Let's get back into here. Once again, if you have a question, put at JCristina. It'll make it super, super simple to be able to find at JCristina. Let's see. Radioactive Texan says, howdy. How are you doing? Let's see. Going down here. Joe says, watching the World Cup. Yes, a lot of people watching the World Cup. Big, big, big deal, especially if you're overseas. I mean, overseas football is huge. I mean, well, soccer here, but football overseas, it's on a whole nother level, guys. They will bring down the stands. It is on a whole nother level. The theatrics. I played soccer for 7, 8 years, and you learn how to fall. You learn how to fake falls. You learn dramatics. That's what you do. It's literally entertainment is what it is. Because when you look at them, so many times they'll just both people running after the ball, they'll both fall on the floor, crying about a rib or a shin or something. But it's just a lot of fun. I love football. Well, soccer. I love soccer here in the U.S. It's awesome. Let's see. Moving down here. I think avatar is the term they use. This is from this Ice-T. Let me see. Moving down. Here's one from Sarah. Hello from New Zealand. Sarah, I didn't know you were from. Yeah, I think you did. I think I did. From New Zealand. Let's see. What are you using? What kind of speeds are you getting in New Zealand, Sarah? I'd love to know. Michael Johnson, 9760 says, almost worth my new shirt. Almost wore my new shirt to work today. But I was wondering if I could be mistaken. Some might get some set to. yeah. The Rocket Heart. It's funny you say that. I have a Rocket Hard hat that I ordered. A long time ago, and I haven't got it. So I have a feeling it got lost in the mail. I'm going to have to reach out to them. But a lot of people ended up buying the Rocket Hard gear because it was just kind of funny. It had to do with Elon Musk. Basically, after Jeff Bezos's, launch tower just blew up, basically, and had just chunks everywhere that literally set him back months and months and months and months. Elon, while the pad was still on fire, wrote to him something like, "Rockets are hard." Sorry, the ship blew up, basically, but rockets are hard. And so I put it on a hat, I put it on a shirt. I thought it was just such a funny comment because this is what billionaires do. I mean, they just it's going to cost them billions to probably just fix the damn thing, or hundreds of millions to fix what blew up. And he's like, it is what it is. Can you imagine? My God, unbelievable. But yeah, funny stuff. Absolutely funny stuff. Let's see. Disabled Army veteran says the best thing about the megapods is the diversity of locations that will be placed, and that's true. The technology near the infrastructure that would use artificial intelligence and quantum, so no one site is vulnerable to attack. Yes, it's true, but you just keep in mind though, if you take a 10-foot rig, or let's say it's a big one, let's say it's 40 foot, the number of racks that you can put in there with GB300s, or maybe you're doing some H100s, H200s or something like that, there's a finite amount, not based on the amount of room, but based on the amount of heat that can be dissipated from that box. Because the box has to be secure, so it can't be open. It has to be able to be vented, and there's all kinds of security issues that go into that. So I can imagine it's going to be minimal compute at those locations due to heat and whatnot. So, but I could be wrong. But that's what I'm going to guess. But either which way, I would rather them, use those boxes as orchestration and not as the actual addition to the system as external small little tiny clusters of mobile data centers. But we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. I just like when I think about it, it makes sense to me. I've said it for almost 2 years now that every one of these Tesla vehicles that are on the road could be nodes that are just working at solving problems. The same thing that we used to do like back in the day. Do you remember when Bitcoin first came out? And you'd use like a Raspberry Pi, or if you were really ballsy, you would pick up like 10 of these for like $60 a piece and stack them all up and have like ice blowing on them because it gets so damn hot, right? And they would just be computing all day long, or you'd use like those little computers are like this big, and that's what you do, and it's fun kind of thing, right? Well, the same thing holds true with a distributed network, but using a Tesla vehicle. Because like I said, their compute, when they're sitting, let's say, inside of their garage charging for 10, 12 hours, that is a lot of compute that's just sitting there. When I did the math, if they were able to get 14% of the total 7 point some million Tesla owners, if they were able to commandeer 14% of them and just say, listen, let us use your car when it's not being used, let us just use it, and maybe have them, like I said, give them FSD free, or give them, free charging, hours or whatever. They have to do something, and guarantee that if the hardware was to burn out due to this, right, because you are using the silicon now, they would replace the chip for free. I think that the math that I did showed approximately 1 gigabit, or I guess it would be 1 gigawatt of compute just from 14% of the base. So if you were to double that, which I don't think would be a hard problem to get 28% on board if you incentivize them just properly, right? And you guaranteed their chip, that's like 2 gigawatts of compute. That is like if you don't understand how much that is, like the Colossus right now that's running, it's like 150, like 300 watt, a megawatt or something, like 500 megawatt or whatever. They're like pushing it close to 1 gigawatt. That's like a whole damn freaking built, like it's massive, million square feet, massive. And then Colossus 2 is going to be gigawatt, and that is even more massive. I think it's like triple the size or something. It's really big. So technically, there's that amount of compute that's just laying dormant all over the streets and inside people's homes that are not being used. Why the hell not use them? But like I said, I don't know if that's what they're going to do. I don't work for them. What my video was speculation, and we'll see. We'll see if I'm right, wrong, or what they're going to actually do with it. We'll see. Los Galas says, let me see, the truth table. Let me see. What a pretty shirt you're wearing. Yes. What am I got? Like, what is this? Like lilac, lavender or something? My son made fun of me already. Okay. But is this not man? This shirt is not manly, right? This is a lilac shirt. A man doesn't supposed to wear lilac. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. When I was in high school and in college, I would wear pink all the time. Is that like not manly? I don't know. I like it. Anyways, he gave me shit for it earlier today. But yeah, thank you, Gala. Appreciate that. Let's see. Moving down, I got all my kicks here. Questionable. Do you think that a rocket could be put into space if it had enough vinegar and baking soda? No. I forgot what the speed was. It was like 7. I think it's, don't hold me to this. I think it's something like, I think it's like 7 miles per second or something. I think it's some crazy amount. 7 miles per second, something. To break free of Earth's gravitational pull. I think it's something like that. Something crazy. The vinegar and the vinegar and baking soda is not going to do it. It's not going to get there. Maybe close. Maybe not. Let's see. Michael says Bezos' chance of competing with Musk is the same chance I have of going back in time and buying Apple stock in the 80s. I know. Do you remember Apple stock was like $19, $17, $23? I do. And I didn't buy it then because I was like, I don't know if Apple's really going to take off. I love Apple. I've been using Apple ever since the Apple II and the Apple II Plus and then the Apple IIe and then so on and so forth, right? So I always liked Apple. I used to code EEPROMs in assembly code for Apple just because I'm a dork. But that's what I used to do, burn EEPROMs, and then I'd have my UV light to be able to erase the EEPROMs and reburn them if I needed to rewrite the code. Anyways, went off on a tangent as I always do. That's that HDD shit. Anyway, but the bottom line is I didn't think that Apple was going to be able to come back because they ended up shit canning Jobs later on in time. But yeah, if I would have, you just bought it very back at the very beginning, you'd just be, multi-millionaire. But the bottom line here is they really screwed up. And that is one of the things that Elon Musk saw and said, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to go down the road of Steve Jobs and literally get kicked out of my own company. Because remember, the board ended up begging Steve Jobs to come back after they ruined it. They beat the shit out of Apple. They literally ruined Apple. And if it wasn't for Steve Jobs to come back, you wouldn't see Apple worth anything right now. It would have been long gone. There would be nothing left of Apple, in my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think Apple would have been history if they didn't bring Jobs back. Let me see. What 30 month for Shannon. What does he have here? Oh my God. Is it going to be like something sing-song? What is going on here? Joe is smart. Joe is nice. Joe is cool. Joe is wise. Joe is strong. Joe is sharp. Joe is steady. Joe is focused. Joe is exceptional. Joe leads with clarity and purpose in every moment. All that, and we still miss Fab. Absolutely. Yeah, I miss Fab too. Like I said, she's usually here to kick me. Thanks a lot, Shannon. 30 months. Wow. That's awesome. Aaron says, hey, does Linux have the same storage issues as the WSL2 has? In order to 100% delete anything from WLS2, I have to jump through hoops. No, it doesn't. When you delete pretty much. The only thing that you could do, for me, I'll use software so that even if I do delete something, I can bring it back. So it's called Time Shift. It's like Time Machine on Apple, but so it's constantly writing updates. But that's really about it. When you delete something and you actually do a hard, you do a remove on something, you're killing it. It's gone. You're not dealing with all of this. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean that when it's deleted, it is military deleted. Whereas we are going to delete something, and then over the bytes that were deleted, we're going to write ones on it, and then we're going to flip and then write zeros on it. No, it doesn't military delete stuff. So if I wanted to forensically go into your hard drive and pull all your deleted shit, as long as you didn't write over those sectors, I will be able to get all of your deleted stuff. That said, it's not like, other systems, let's just say, where it's a whole shit show to be able to actually delete stuff. Hopefully that helps. I hope. Anyways, Sarah says, what the hell is going on with Starlink lately? I had 6 software updates, every day this week, and 4 the week before. Sarah, I know. They've been doing a lot of updates lately, and I don't know what is going on or what they're doing, but I think a lot of it has to do with the new hardware that's going to be coming out that we should see anytime now. I think a lot of it has to do with that, kind of dialing stuff in, because as they're making these updates, even though we can't use the updates, there's going to be certain stuff that's in that firmware that people that have them that are beta testing to make sure that they're working right are able to use. So I'm going to guess it has something to do with that. Some people will say, "Oh, it's security stuff." I mean, yes, they constantly push down security patches for any kind of vulnerability that they might find, but there's less of that than you think. It's pretty hard. SpaceX Starlink is pretty hardened. Obviously, it's having to go through war. Yeah, they're being hacked. Starlink and SpaceX is being hacked every single day, every single hour, every single minute, from China to Russia. They're being hacked continuously, just so you understand. So the system administrators that are in charge of not only of the internals over there, but are in charge of writing the firmware on these rigs, on these kits, they're having to do a lot of work continuously. Because as we can see happened in the not so distant past with the Mythos 5, it was able to find, what was it, like 10,000 vulnerabilities in 3 different operating systems in like minutes? Some vulnerabilities that have been sitting in operating systems for 27 years. Think about that. That's the power of the AI today. And of course, they had to shut it down right away. And before it got out in the wild, I think it was out in the wild for like 2 days, and then they shut it down really quick because they knew that they could use Mythos 5 to hack into just about any system. And at that point, they said, holy shit. So they gave it to Google, they gave it to Amazon, they gave it to all of the big wigs to be able to kind of engineer through it and put, tape and plugs in all of the leaking holes in their system before they released, Mythos 5 to the rest of us again. That was the same time they released Fable 5, if you remember. Anyways, let's see, SETI at home. Yes, you remember that radioactive Texan SETI at home? That was kind of cool, right? So so there was a trade-off. If you don't know what SETI at home was, there was a trade-off. You would download a piece of software that was a screensaver for your PC or for whatever. You would load the screensaver would load because obviously you're not behind the computer, so it would load the screensaver. And while the screensaver is on, you would see pictures of like beautiful, atmospheric pictures and pictures of the solar system and other planets and all kinds of shit like that, right? And in the background, it was using your processing power to figure out codes and to figure out sounds. Just so you know, I mean, SETI usually deals with radio frequencies, right? So it was figuring out and calculating large amounts of data to find unique modulation that can't be random. You follow that? Anyways, I'm not going to get into the whole thing of it, but yes, that is kind of what we could see, like, for example, with the Tesla car, kind of like SETI. When the car's not being used, it just starts, it just starts cracking codes, figuring out problems or, doing whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool. William says Joe is a dictionary. No, I wish I was, but I'm not a dictionary. Half the time I don't even know what the hell what I'm thinking now is like I'm like 2 steps ahead and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about sometimes. That's why I repeat myself, I think, so much. I used to have a problem like that in school. Like I had some teachers said that basically I was like the SLD kid, which was a slow learning disabled kid. And then other teachers would say that, oh, he's a genius. He understands like this stuff. So it's like my parents would get both sides of it. Oh, he's a genius. And then the other ones would be like, he's basically, not doing well. He's disabled. Like, so they never knew, like what is it? I don't know. Maybe I still don't know. So yeah, I think we all have problems, right? It's just how we deal with the problems, right? Do we exploit the problems? Do we cry about them, or do we just live with them and make them into something better, right? Anyways, questionable. This from Lost Gal says, what if we are clones of our real selves and we didn't know it? If gods were the actual giants of the past, do you think they helped build the pyramids? That's an interesting concept. That's Lost Gala, right? Read Lost Gala's question. Yes, I mean, there's many ways to look at existence. The easiest way to look at existence is through the lens of religion, because religion will make things a hell of a lot less confrontational. You take a book, whatever the book is, maybe it's the Torah, and you read the Torah and you believe everything that's in the Torah to be 100% factual, and you live your life in this methodology, okay? Or you take the Bible, the New Testament, let's say, you read the New Testament, you go and you take your highlighter and you go and highlight all these passages, right? You do your thing, and then you believe that to be 100% factual. And that's just, to me, the easiest way to live life, okay? So, for me, I was grown up as a Catholic, but I was always a free thinker. So while, yes, I have my own belief system, but for me, I will look at everything because I have more of a scientific brain that makes it very difficult to just believe one thing as factual just because I read it or because there is a consensus. I don't like groupthink. I don't like consensus. And I like to see, for myself, what I can figure out. That's just my scientific background, right? So I'm a scientist and an artist. I went to art school for many years for commercial art, advertising design, and I used to paint. And then I'm a programmer. I went to school for programming 4 years, and I programmed from assembly code to Pascal and to just many languages, even back to Cobalt and Fortran back in the days. So I have the science side of me and the artist side of me, and that doesn't include the child psychology that I went to university for too. So anyways, the bottom line is yes, I mean, we could be, I went off on a tangent. You see how it works? We could be in a simulation. That's possible. As we noticed that, I was always a video game player, right? And as we saw video games go from video games that I would write back in the day, to video games that we see today where they literally, they're so immersive that there comes a time where it's hard to figure out what's real and what's not. And as these video games now will become more AI generated, and the NPCs, non-player characters, become more like a ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, or something like that, I have a feeling that people are going to start diving deeper into these games and being in these games for a longer period of time, meaning that it's going to be more of an adventure and a life kind of experience in comparison to just shooting and seeing how many headshots you can get. So I don't know. I really don't know, Lost Gal or Gala Girl is. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I can tell you this. There's a lot of debate about, are we the only ones out here? And if not, then why haven't aliens, kind of knocked on our door? And I guess the question is when would they have knocked? We've been, the planet's been here for 100 million years, billion years. The universe is, I don't know, what is it, 4 or 7 billion years? It's crazy numbers. So even if an alien race did knock, we might not have been here yet. we've been here on Earth like literally a drop of a drop, just a tiny drop of water in the ocean. That's how long we've been on this planet. So who knows? There's no way of knowing. But that's a great question. I love questions like that. Thank you so much. That's one of those that let you think a little bit. One day I'll get into. I have a tattoo that I've been working on for months and months that I'm going to get, and I'll give you just like an idea of what it's about. The tattoo is basically a primer of my understanding of where we've been, where we are, and where we will leave to. And this is all in a tattoo, all line-based, kind of like a blueprint or a primer or something like that. That's the stuff that I do on my free time. I know it sounds crazy, but anyways, let's see. Darling Realm says my dish angle has changed drastically. That happens all the time. Dish angles used to be right around 25 to 30%, and they used to be almost due north if you were in the north, and if you were in the south, southern hemisphere, they were due south, right? Now they've moved. Let's say you're in the north, they've moved from due north to like a little bit northeast if you're on the east coast, a little bit northwest if you're on the west coast. And now, 5 years later, my dish is sitting at almost like 15%. It's like way back like this, and it's pointing towards the ocean, literally almost due east. So it's literally turned, all the way from north to northeast to northeast to northeast north. So, things have been changing a lot. The bottom line that you just have to understand is, like I said about 5 years ago, I said, listen, eventually there'll be so many satellites on orbit that it doesn't matter where you point the dish. You'll be able to just throw it on the floor completely flat and it'll hit enough satellites. And as of the latest and greatest news, instead of these dish understanding or being able to connect to one satellite, they can connect to two. They can connect up to, I think, 6 or 8 or 7 or something. So what that means is throwing it on the floor, pointing straight up, is going to still give you plenty of satellites. It's not the way it used to be. So that's really incredible to me. That just shows how dense the SpaceX Starlink has gotten now that they're at like, 10,400 or whatever it is? I don't know. Let's call it just under 11,000 satellites. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Michael says, interesting news. People in the UK already don't have AC in their homes. Now they want and made the law that you can get fined 40 to 110 pounds for using AC in your car to cool it off. What the frick? I love the UK. I really always wanted to go and see the UK, but the shit that's been going on over there, and I talk to people, obviously there's almost 170,000 of you guys now on the channel. So I talk to a lot of different people, and the UK is just going to shit in a handbasket. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on. It's just sad. And, we were just in Europe, about a month ago, two months ago or something. We were in Sicily, Italy, and we visited the islands, the islands of Greece, right? Mykonos and so on and so forth. And I tell you what, Italy has gone to shit in a handbasket. Germany is a frickin' shit show too. This is Free Speech Friday, just so you know. So you're gonna have cursing. If there are any kids, please take them away. Take them out of the room. So many countries have Canada, what just a wreck, a train wreck going on in Canada. I mean, the US, what the hell has been going on here? I mean, there's so much that's just like, to me, when I look at it, it's like, holy hell, guys. I mean, this is not, and I've been around for a few years. It's just, to me, it's pretty bad. I'm getting close to 60 years old, guys. 60. And I've seen a lot. I was born in the 60s, and I look at it today, and I look at what's going on, and I'm like, holy shit. I mean, it's just whack. And the stuff that is not allowed and the stuff that is allowed, do you know how many flock cameras we have in our city now? all these cameras that are monitoring you and your cars as they're going by and taking pictures of everything. I mean, people don't think about this, but we are being monitored continuously. You can't get away from it. And I mean, if you're in a city, you know it. How many cameras are there? There is, when I hear of these stories like, oh, someone got shot and they don't know who did it. Just look at the flag, look at the cameras. There's a camera everywhere, everywhere. But when they want to find someone, for some reason, they find them really quickly. Isn't it the case? When they don't want to find them, they're like, I don't know, it just disappeared. It just disappeared. I don't know. It's just bizarre. But yeah, you're getting fined in the UK 40 to 100 pound just for running your AC in your car. They need to just pound sand to get screwed. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Starlink has phone number for service now. Yes, it does, John. But call it and you're going to speak to Grok. John, you're going to speak to Grok. If you don't mind speaking to Grok, give the number a call. Let's see. Ice-T says, my Starlink is updating right now. Yeah, there's a lot. It does reset itself. It's going to take like about 10 minutes. It'll be done. SETI equals UFO. Kind of. Let me see. Going down, we got Wikipedia on the SETI. Sarah says, you asked what speeds I was getting in New Zealand. 100 by 50. That's not bad. With the residential 100. Because that's a residential 100. You're actually getting 100. That's pretty good. I like that. That's not bad. They pissed Elon off. And he'll buy Cuba and move everything there. It sounds like just like shits and giggles, right, Roger? That Elon Musk could buy Cuba and move everything there. He could. He absolutely could. And they couldn't do a goddamn thing about it, right? And that's the facts. So yeah, if they piss Elon off enough, I've always said this. I said he'll pick up his football and move somewhere else, and he could do it. And you joking about Cuba, I don't know if you're joking about Cuba because you understand rocketry, telemetry, and how launching a rocket works. And Cuba would literally be the absolute perfect place to launch rockets. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to get into the why, but trust me, if you just stumbled across that, I'm telling you, you are 110% right. And if he was to use Cuba, it would be the absolute pristine place to do what he needs to do. 100%. We'll leave it there. Old man Dom's in the house. Thank you. Dictionary Joe. I'm going to make a shirt. Dictionary Joe, right? Going to be Old Man Joe, Dictionary Joe. I don't know. Yeah, don't piss Elon off because he will pick up his frickin' football and leave. And then then there's going to be an issue. There's going to be an issue. Could you imagine? I mean, I hate to say this, but do you know how much our military relies on SpaceX Starlink today? SpaceX Starlink. It is SpaceX Starlink, but Space Force using Star Shield. You could call it whatever the frick you want, okay? It's just their version. It's just their satellites that they can control, but they are SpaceX Starlink satellites, like the version 2 minis. They rely on them, right? They rely on them, but they're leasing them. It's not like they own them. So if Elon was to pick up his football and leave to Cuba, the disruption would be monumental. I'll leave it at that, okay? Let's see. Thank you so much, Shannon. A little bit deep. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I always love talking about, stuff that's a little bit more just kind of out there, because I look at it this way, when you speak on stuff that you understand, it's one thing, but when you speak with other people that are smart and you learn from them. And I always like to learn stuff. That's like my thing. And then talking on topics that are a little bit more, let's say, brain squeezing. It's kind of like a muscle, right? You use your brain and you actually think instead of just do. I think it's good. I think it's really good, and especially as you get older. I think you have to use your brain on a daily basis to do to do some work. The same way you go to the gym to kind of keep your body kind of like put together and not just, let it go. The only way to do that with your brain is obviously you have to feed it well, right? But you also just have to constantly think, and not think just on just basic stuff, but abstractly and deeply. Deep thought, I think, is really, really important on concepts that you might not understand, and you just maybe you just grab a book, Plato or Republic, or I don't know, whatever, something deeper than what you would normally read, and now all of a sudden your mind is thinking in different ways than you would have it normally on a daily basis. I think it's important. Let's see. Hello, not able to continue being a member, but really like the channel. Listen, Arnold, if you were a member in the past, I appreciate you. If you cannot continue to be a member, I appreciate you just the same. Stay with us, hang out, enjoy the content. I hope you do, and don't worry about it. Listen, everyone's in different places. Not everybody can afford to donate a dime. Okay. And I donate my time to create all of this content for you guys because I really do love it. And I get something out of it too. Whenever someone comes out and says, listen, you help me and you help my family. And after I ended up getting SpaceX Starlink and I did this install that you told me to do, everything changed. That just makes me feel so good that it is worth it tenfold. So trust me, don't worry about it. Arnold, I appreciate you being here, and please continue to hang out with us going down the road and definitely contribute. The more you contribute, the better. It's Shannon says, Joe's a philosopher. No, I'm not a philosopher. I've studied a lot of philosophy, and I've read a lot over the years from books of a lot of great people. And I've learned a lot from this stuff. And, I think the biggest thing that I did when I was a kid is I learned a lot of Latin. And I've said this, I think, in a live once before, if anyone has kids or grandkids, if they could have them do anything, have them learn a small amount of Latin, and it will serve them for the rest of their life. Everything is based on it. I don't care if you go into medical. I don't care if it's space. I don't care what technology, what it is. Almost everything comes from the Latin. So I say this all the time. When you do like IQ tests, someone that knows a small portion of Latin will automatically produce anywhere from 5 to 10 points of a higher score than someone that doesn't, because they just get it. They can just see it. It's very apparent because, when you look at things, you can see from the past to the present type of thing. And it just makes sense. So yeah, definitely have your kids. I know it's not an easy thing to do. We don't read Latin anymore. We don't speak Latin, But if you learn Greek is very important too, but Latin or Greek or anything, you will definitely have a lifetime better when it comes to just understanding things. Anyways, let's see. Sarah says, you're ready for a kick. Yes, keep giving me hit kicks. I like them. Aaron says, for Windows subsystem for Linux, I have to delete the data and then command prompt shut down the WSL, right? The Windows subsystem, the selected drive, compact drive. This is the only way to free up space. Windows has been just a wreck when it comes to the way the file system works forever. I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, they've done different things over time, but I've never liked the way it's always a mess. It's always a mess, and you're always having to kind of like fix things. I'm just, who was it? Someone really big recently put a video out there. One of these big tech channels. What the hell is his name? If you guys know, put it in the chat. Really big tech guy. He's got like reddish hair, very short. He's kind of like the dork when it comes to tech. He just knows tech inside and out. I really like this guy. I just can't, his name, what the hell? Anyways, he said that he went to Linux or something. Now he's having a hard time going back to Windows. He doesn't want to go back to Windows. It's the funniest thing. I left Windows, this right here, over I think it's like a year and a half ago. And as you can tell by the dust on this, it's never been back into the machine. I've been using Linux ever since. It's like people get so, obviously there's some people that can't do that because there's certain applications that you need that's only written for Windows. And then it's like, hey, I get it. But if you don't have those apps that you require, shit, go to Linux. You'll be so much happier. Everything is just so much, it's easier to me. I don't know. Anyways, Simpsons are 20 ahead of the curve. Always. That's right. That's Welsh and Sons Farms. You watch The Simpsons, you'll know exactly what the future looks like because they know. Why that is, I don't know. Gallagher, yes, I like your answer also. If there's a knocked already. If they've knocked already, I don't know. I think, I would imagine they probably have. I think we've been visited many, many times, to be honest with you. I just, the problem is the problem, this is for Gallagher, Lost Gallup. The problem is energy. And until they're able to find a means of free energy, they're not going to be able to move like they need to move. I don't want to get into the whole theoretical stuff, quantum stuff, all the rest of the things, but they need a free energy source to be able to I'll give you a perfect example. Just to simply do anti-gravity, you need a free energy source because the amount of energy that is required to be able to do anti-gravity, the bottom line is there will be no moving forward until free energy is found. Now, has the government and other entities already found free energy? I think they have. I think they've found a means. Kind of like when they figured out that an alternator, or I should say, a generator that doesn't generate anything. It transmutes the ether, right? When you talk about people talk about electricity and how a generator actually just creates it, if it creates it out of nowhere. And it kind of does. It creates it out of nowhere and somewhere at the same time. But anyways, the same thing holds true with the free energy. So any type of free energy device, it has to come from somewhere, right? That means that they have to figure this out. And I think that, I would imagine other people from other locations have figured this out because, number one, the only way to actually travel to them in a timely manner would be either bending space-time, which you really can't do, or possibly wormholes, or something like that. Because there's really no other way to do it. You could think about quantum and all the rest of this stuff. But the bottom line is to actually move. You can't, even if you were to move at the speed of light, some of these stars are so many light years away, you would die before you would never get it back, right? So if someone actually went there, they would never be able to come back anyways. We would all be dead by the time they got back. So I just think it's an interesting topic for sure. And it definitely puts you into kind of this round robin full circle stuff. Let's see. Shannon says, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all around the time for what? Light that shit up. Okay. We will do it. I'm probably behind, but this is for Shannon. Now, we don't have Fab next to me. This is the Block 1, right? They have Block 2 already. They got rid of it, thank God. Now they have the Block 3. Hopefully we see the Block 3 launch again, right? The last launch was pretty good. A little bit iffy on the booster portion, but the actual rocket did well. So here we go. Fab's not here. I bet when she's here, right, this thing will launch like 1.5 feet. But when she's not here, it's probably going to go like this. It's probably going to be this long. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Exactly what I said. You see? You see? It only went this long. But then when she's here, the thing will blow out like 1.5 feet. This happens every single time, guys. Every time. I love it. I love it. I'm going to have to tell Fab. I'm going to tell her. Thanks, Shannon. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let me see. Honey Badgers in the house, 1996. Did you say you do have a tattoo on yourself or you're designing it? I'm designing it. I do not have a tattoo. I'm designing it. I've been designing it for like a couple of months now. And like I said, it's like a primer. It's like a blueprint is what I'm going to do. Just because it's just something that I've been thinking about a lot of deep thought. And what I want to do is actually create something that encapsulates all of the deep thought on myself that's there permanently. So that's what I'm going to do. I just, hey, why not? Right? I think it'll be fun. So yeah, that's what I was working on. I've been working on it for months. Not like something like beautiful 3D, like a picture of somebody or something like that. Literally it's a line, black and white. John, what? Jill. Let me see. Jim says, if I had kids here, I would want them to stay in the room because they are the ones that need to protect. Yeah, well, yeah. Let me see. I agree. I see they will find someone if they want to. Absolutely. I think it's just crazy. They can find people. 1984, the book, right? That's why I keep that book there, George Orwell. You read that book, and it's kind of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for Elon. 1984 is more like the way I see it, and the whole Orwellian experience of how he views how things are. When you read that book, you could read it today, and it's like 40 years down the road, almost 50 years down the road, and it holds true. It's like it's literally there. So John says, how was your Father's Day? Really good. Thank you for that. Actually had a nice Father's Day. It was really, really nice with the family. Let me see. Derry says, when Starlink releases their eventual cell phone plans, do you anticipate it to be worldwide coverage, meaning no roaming charges? So I don't think they're going to release cell phone plans anytime in the near future. I just don't. The problem with cell phone coverage with the phone and satellites is the obstructions that are in buildings. And the only way to get around the obstruction is to create repeaters. So you'd have to have repeaters outside of buildings that would repeat the DTC signal and push it into the building. That's like the only way that I can see it actually working. But now they could, even today, if they wanted to turn DTC on, you would be able to make calls. You could use WhatsApp or something. You'll be able to make calls, video calls. You could send photos, do whatever, right through a satellite overhead, which is amazing. So will they have the ability to do that? Yes. Will they do it? I don't think so, because they have bigger fish to fry. So we will see what ends up happening. As far as an actual cell phone that Elon Musk makes with like one of their chips, I don't think that's going to happen like ever. I think in one of his interviews he said that sounds like the absolute worst thing that he's ever heard of in his life. he does not want to make a phone. That's not something that he wants to do. He actually doesn't want to make cars either, but he does it because it's part of the master plan. You get that, right? Remember, Tesla is a robotics company. It's not a car company. It's just Tesla's robots currently have 4 wheels instead of 2 legs. But their mainstay will eventually have 2 legs. They will make millions of 2-legged robots that the majority of us within 20 years will have one in their homes. That's my prediction. We will see. We'll see how that ends up coming out, if it comes to pass or not, but that's how I see it. Could be wrong. Let's see. Sarah says, I had you, you were Encyclopedia Joe, full of information. I bet your brain has 30 terabytes of information. I don't know. I really don't know. You know, it's funny. They're always trying to say, you know, like, can you stimulate the brain? And right now, technology, like with AI, is so rudimentary as of right now that it's not even good. And what they say is good, it's like, it's good, but it's like, it's okay. Like, so right now we're dealing with the ones and zeros, right? And we're going to escalate in the not so distant future into quantum, okay? Where you're flipping bits. Quantum will be like multiple orders of magnitude more powerful than what the absolute smartest AI is today. So when you start going into a quantum computer AI, it's on a different level completely. But then once you get out of quantum, I really do believe eventually we will have wetware, right? Synapses. So it will be biological compute. So it would be similar to what we currently have. Our minds think on so many different levels that it's very hard. Like Elon always says that, you know, we'll be, you know, the AI will be smarter than people before the end of the year, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, before 2028 or 2027, it'll be smarter than every human on earth. Yes. But there's a difference between wisdom and just simply smarts, right? So yeah, it'll be smart because it knows a lot of shit, but that doesn't really make it that wise. You kind of get that? I mean, I could go into a whole tangent about it, but the bottom line is I think that right now we're at very rudimentary level. From here, we're going to go into quantum. Quantum will be there for at least 5-10 years, and then we'll move into a wetware type of computer where it's actually no longer silicon. It's more of like what we have between our ears, the wetware that we have between our ears. And at that point, everything changes. Everything changes. The change that they talk about AI today is so. People are afraid of something that is so stupid that they shouldn't be. They should be afraid of the people that are running the stupidness, if you follow that. You get it? That's what they should be afraid of. Anyways, but as we move into quantum and into kind of like a wetware scenario, that's when you start worrying, because now there's getting close to consciousness. So let's see. Michael says Elon can't launch rockets from Cuba. No gas. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's funny. I like that. Speaking of body physical, I have been on a plant-free diet for months. 15 pounds gone. Plant-free. Interesting. Yeah, I've been doing some dieting myself. I went from like 156 pounds. I went up to 180 pounds. So I've been trying to put on mass, but clean mass. So like it's like chicken and eggs and all this kind of stuff, and like literally like maybe 4 grams of fat in an entire meal or less. Sometimes 2 grams, 3 grams of fat. I mean, literally like no fat. And it's really been quite nice, right? It's kind of gross sometimes, you kind of get tired of it, but it's been doing pretty well for myself. I've been feeling much better. So I don't know. I think one day I'll talk about my my eating habits and my lifestyle stuff a little bit, because I get a lot of questions about that. Like, what do you do? You know, you're almost 60 years old. You know, like, what do you do to keep healthy? What do you do to, work? What is the workout? What do you eat and what do you do? And I might do maybe a video or two about it or something. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to talk about it with you guys, right? Because we're all in the same boat. It's not like we're not. So we all go through the same crap. Let's see, moving down. Thank you for the super chat. This is for TMW. FT. TM? What the fuck? Two That's what it looks like. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. It says great. We appreciate the, you know what? Whenever I see these super chats, they warm my heart. I really appreciate it. I really do. Really, really do. More so to the point, the Starlink prowess all have benefited if I do appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really do. When I make these videos and, someone like you says, listen, I appreciate, what you've done and the information that you give, that makes me really feel good. It really, really does. And it doesn't matter if it's $1 or if it's just someone just says something. It really helps out a lot. It's like, it makes sense. And it allows me to kind of make sense of what I do and the amount of time and hours I put into it. It's like when I built the Truth Engine. I built the Truth Engine for myself, right? And because I was sick of being beholden to the rest of these AI companies and paying them and dealing with their bullshit and how they put these guardrails up and they never give me the truth answer, even the answer is outside the guardrails. So I built the Truth Engine for that, and I ended up writing a book. And now it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you guys have got the book and built your own Truth Engine. And the amount of emails that I get, it's just crazy to me because I was never even going to do it. I built it for myself. I put 70 hours into the damn thing. And I figured, if someone gets something out of it, like I did with Starlink, like I did with Life After Microsoft, and also Life After Adobe, Cutting the Cord series that I used to do, someone gets something out of it, good. Well, this really went over big. I'm literally stunned. I am. So definitely take a look at my book. Go to the JCristina.com/shop. You'll see it there. It's like $25. If you want to give a tip, you can. But I made it really cheap so everyone could get it. And it works on the Apple and a PC. It works on Linux. And all of the pieces of making it is about, it's free, pretty much. And it takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to put together. It's pretty easy. And now with the revision 2, and since it's a living book, as I do revisions and I update it, you guys get the updates for free. So you buy a book once, and literally in a year from now, if I'm doing something with like agenic, something crazy with a new AI system, I'll throw it in the book. You're going to get it for free. So that's what I did. But yes, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate you. Radioactive Texan said that SPCX, which is the stock, is 152.77. I told you guys it was going to start up. It'll just take a tear, and then it's going to come back down, and that's exactly what happened, right? The stock started out at like $135. Literally, it started trading at like 150.00. I bought 10 shares live. I did a 7-hour freaking live show when that thing went live, when that thing IPO'd, and I bought 10 shares at $150. I saw it go all the way up to like $220, $230, and then now it's come crashing back down to what I bought it for. And that's what I expect. I actually expected to come down lower than this. And I told you guys that I would lose money. I just want to be part of the thing. So I think that we'll see it probably in, I don't think it's going to break the 100 level, but I think we'll see it about $125 maybe, 130s, maybe even a little bit lower. It just depends. But to me, this is a stock like Apple. You get in at the beginning, in 10 years, you're going to be like, holy shit, why didn't I throw more money at this thing? Because of what it is. And in one of my videos, I talked about how I think that Tesla will end up being part of SpaceX. Why did I say that? Well, because Elon Musk exercised his right to purchase or execute his options to purchase Tesla stock. at like, I don't know, $6 or something, some stupid amount. I don't know. I'm exaggerating. And it was like, I don't know, like $6 or $7 or $9 billion worth of stock. Why'd he do that? Well, so now he's got like 20 or 20.5% of the voting rights. He said he will not pull the trigger on anything big that happens at Tesla until he owns about 25% of the voting rights. So he cannot be kicked out, not kicked out physically, but he cannot be, let's say, circumvented the move that he makes. So I think that's why he did it. And this just happened literally this week, I think it was. All right. So he now has a bigger stake in Tesla. I think that he's going to eventually do a merger here. And that's just going to be great for SpaceX. Now, all of a sudden, people that own SpaceX, they're going to actually own Tesla also. So as it is now, they own SpaceX, they own Starlink, they own xAI, they own also, what the hell else? What am I missing? SpaceX, Starlink, xAI. What am I missing? Oh, the actual location, right? Which is the Starbase, as well as what else? I'm missing one. Anyways, I think it's 4 or 5 companies. You own it. So when you buy SpaceX, or like he was saying here, SPCX, the ticker, you own all this. And in the not so distant future, I'm predicting you're going to also own Tesla. What do you think is going to happen to the SpaceX stock if that does happen? I'll let you guys speculate. Let's see. Fab Kicks. Yeah, she's not here. I have my Red Bull I opened a long time ago for some energy, and I never drank it. I don't know. It's my only vice. I don't drink alcohol. And I don't drink artificially sweetened stuff. And I don't eat or drink anything that has high fructose corn syrup in it, and a bunch of other things. There's a lot of other stuff. But yeah, that's like my only vice for a little pick-me-up, along with my lattes with almond milk, which are just hideous. God, I hate almond milk, but I still drink it. Let me see. Aaron says, what do you think about SpaceX launching NASA's new Nancy Grace Roman? I don't know. I didn't read anything about it, but in my personal opinion, there's no, who else is going to be able to do it, right? It's almost like the Hubble, right? Like who could actually bring astronauts to the ISS? Who could bring them supply? There is nobody. It's only Elon, right? There's no one else. People always complain about Elon, but yet they give him all of this power because they shut down the damn space. They shut down NASA pretty much. And they're like, hey, we need to go with the Russians to get our astronauts to the ISS. It's like, are you serious? But that's exactly what happened until Elon came back around. It's like, what the frick? Unbelievable. Yes, Linus. Yes, tech tips. Linus, that's exactly right. He did move. It says the entire team had a Linux challenge. Yes. And my understanding is he went to Linux and he really, really likes it. It says, but Linus says that he still has to use Windows for his show. Yes. And that goes back to apps. If you do not have the apps available on Linux, you can't move to Linux if you're using it for business. That's just it. Tesla found free energy. Yeah. That kind of came down like, was sitting there for a while, right? And then they ended up tearing it down. And all of a sudden, after Tesla passed away, all of his writings just disappeared. That was kind of nice, right? I wonder what happened there. There's nothing to see there. Nothing to see there. Tesla was an extremely brilliant person, along with Heaviside and there's a lot of really smart people that have come before him. A lot of the real big, the geniuses that are out there. I don't consider like Einstein or someone like that as one. I think, he was smart in a certain way, but I think Tesla was a hell of a lot smarter. But that's for a whole nother discussion. But yeah, a lot of these people, the ones that are smart, they always say, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and that's exactly right. You know, there's very few people that actually invent something that's never been invented. Have you ever thought about that? I don't care what it is. Think about it. How many people invent something that has not already previously been invented, or just simply iterated on something that has come before? There's not a lot. There are some, but there's not a lot. Most people just simply iterate. They do not have that free thought where they can actually come up with something, you know, like a generator, for example. Think about that. The idea of creating electricity out of the ether. Amazing. Latin was a compulsory subject, but yes, you know, it's funny, Joe. Latin was, for us, we had to take Latin, German, we could take Spanish. But now what's really interesting is when my kids go to school, they don't have the ability to take Latin or German or anything else. They can only take Spanish. There's not a lot of languages. I think there was a French that was available, but I think now it's just pretty much Spanish. I don't know what it is over there by you, but down here it's like this. Let's see. Sarah says, I know why the rocket fires out big flames when Fab's there. It's most likely because her hairspray. So there you go. I'm going to tell her it's her hairspray. DTC through Starlink dish inside Wi-Fi. Yeah, of course you always move DTC to Wi-Fi, and then from the Wi-Fi back to DTC and then back out. But you still have to have some type of means to get it out of the building. Is kind of what I was talking about. I had a teacher in high school in 1984 was mandatory read. Yes, I think every kid, every student should read 1984. Read 1984. If you never read it, buy it, read it. It's not long. What is it? A couple hundred pages or something. Let me see. Yeah, 200, 260, small print. If you don't like reading, or maybe you do some working out, take a picture of it and download the audiobook and just have it read to you. When you listen to George Orwell's Orwellian thought process, it will definitely open up your mind to what is going on, what we see today. I really like this book. I really do. There's a lot of other books I like, but that was one of the fun ones. I always look at that as how Elon Musk looks at Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Same type of thing, you know, when like his thing with Hitchhiker's Guide is like 42, you know, what is the nature of the universe? What is and the bottom line is when you go full circle, it's not about the answer, it's about the question. And the problem is we don't know the questions to ask. So even if we got answers, we wouldn't understand them anyways. Let's see. Yeah, Jim. It was a school read, and it was enjoyable. Let's see. Los Galas says, Thoughtables, yes. If people lived in pods on another planet, but not able to return, yeah, exactly, weren't allowed to connect to us, how would we know? That's the whole thing. They were sent or into an oblivion. Yeah, we don't know. That's the whole thing. Like if you couldn't get the people out there. The bottom line is you couldn't get them back. And traveling at the speed of light, you can't do anyways. So it has to. There will be eventually other ways to move from star to star, from galaxy to galaxy, from solar system to solar system, from planet to planet. That doesn't involve exploding resources. And I'm not talking about nuclear either, because that deteriorates over a period of time too, because there is half-lives on anything that's radioactive regardless. So it's not that. There's more to it. Let me see. Shannon says, let me see, put repeaters in Teslas. Yes, you can do that. Absolutely. RF levels may be an issue though. Insulate them. You can do that. Do not look into the light. Yeah, wear a radiation suit. Yeah, so I personally think that every Tesla should have a SpaceX Starlink built into the roof. Just it would literally be as thin as like this. It would literally look like this, and just stuck on. That's it. This is the whole thing. And then the undercarriage, the underside of it, you would use a foil. You would use something to stop any type of emissions hitting the passengers. And now every Tesla becomes a node. God, I wish people would understand how big that is. Just understand, if you understand distributed computing, having every single Tesla, when there's like 7 to 8 million of them globally, become a node in a giant supercomputer, how absolutely crazy that is. It's nuts. And it's a possibility. I've put it out there now for years. It's never transpired. This video that I just did, I talked about it, but I could be wrong. I pushed that narrative because I really kind of want it to be true, because it would make sense, but I'm probably wrong. And they'll probably end up using these megapods just simply as small data centers and just using the electrical grid at those locations when the electrical grid doesn't need to be used for charging cars. We'll see. I don't know. Let's see. So what is the role you do think that Starlink will play in the cellular phone in space, NJ? Not as a phone provider, but a service-wise. Yeah, so now I'm not sure if you're talking about SpaceX Starlink in general, or it says will play in the cellular phone space. Now, Starlink will be the means of connection, or the DTC, or the direct-to-cell, the means of connection that every person on Earth that has a phone will be able to have access to emergency service and basic internet coverage, no matter if you are on the poles, on the Antarctic or the Arctic, or if you're on an island somewhere in the middle of the ocean, or it doesn't matter if you're in a desert. You will have access when there's no cell towers with your phone, an unmodified phone. And there's a new chipset that's coming out, and people asked me about this in the last video, and I wish I had an answer for you, but I haven't heard yet. But there's a new chipset that's coming out that they're working on that's going to be even more powerful, that will be able to allow for, instead of 4 to 8 megabits from a satellite, up to like 100 or 150 megabits, something stupid. I mean, like a lot, a lot. So we will see what ends up happening. But I think that's what's going to end up, that's going to be as far as it goes. I think DTC is where it's going to be, and that's where it'll stay. But we'll see. There's a lot of different things you can do. Elon has said that like about, I think it was like 10 years ago or 10 years from now or 5 years from now, he doesn't think there's going to be phones anymore. And the funny thing is I said that too a few years back. I even did a video on it. And I told you guys that phones would be replaced with wearables. Ring, bracelet, necklace, ear pods, goggles. That will replace the phone. And each one of those would do different things. But anyways, the phone might still be in your pocket, but it'll be used as the equivalent to the Megapod, in my personal opinion, as an orchestrator, as an orchestration device, as the conductor. Get it? So the signal comes in and all the processing happens inside of here instead of on a small wearable. But the small wearable is in direct connect with this at all times. This will probably go to the size of about half. It would probably be about this big, all right? Because now you just need it for compute, and that's it. right? The screen will be in the glasses, or it could be augmented. It could be holographic. There's all different ways you can do it. But I have a feeling that we're going to kind of move into the wearable thing and kind of move away from the phone thing. Phones are old. They're outdated. Long time ago. They keep if you look at just Apple alone, the last like 10 years, what have they done more besides just keep on adding more and more of these lenses on the back, more cameras? What have they done? A little bit better processor, a little bit more memory. That's it. They've done nothing. Let me see. Joseph, low fat is out. Fat doesn't make you fat. Wheat, grains, and sugars make you fat. Yeah. It just, of course, just like anything else, how you eat and the amount of calories that you put in. I mean, literally, you could eat, let's say if you're going to burn through 18, let's say your metabolic cycle provides for 1,800 calories per day. If you eat 1,700 calories per day, you are going to lose weight. And I don't care what the calories are. But the thing is that doesn't mean that you'll be healthy. That just means that you're not bringing in enough caloric content to get fat. What ends up happening is you see a lot of skinny fat people, if you know what I mean. You see a lot of these people that they're skinny, but they're like all flabby. They're all like mushy, marshmallowy. Anyways, yeah, I'll probably get into that one day and I don't know, do like a whole talk on it. It'd be kind of fun. Battlestar Galactica, remember that? God, good stuff. Good stuff. Enjoy the electricity being generated. This is from Los Gala, from the Earth for free. Yes, just look at the pyramids. People, do some research on the pyramids and pyramid power, and look at the 4 pillars on each corner of the pyramids that go into the ground all the way down to the bedrock, and the spiraling structures that go around those. Do some research on that. And that has been seen now through LiDAR, and they can't figure out how it's even possible back in those days to be able to dig what they see underground. It's kind of weird. But pyramid power is definitely real. When I was 12 years old, I think it is 12, 13, I did a science fair experiment on pyramid power, and I built a pyramid to the exact scale of the Giza pyramid, and I did a bunch of testing, and my results were quite fascinating, let's just say. The thing with the pyramid is not only does it have to be built to the exact dimensions, but it has to be lined up with true north, not magnetic north. That's where people get it just funky. And then they try putting these pyramids at magnetic north, and they find that it doesn't work because it's not done right. Anyways, yeah, look up pyramid power, and I've tested it, and I know that it's not just like nonsense, because I've done detailed research papers on it, and I've got findings that I did and documented, from pictures to write-ups for months and months on end, because I'm a dork. Let me see. Question: if Elon makes Red Bull collector can, would you purchase? I would absolutely purchase it. Aaron says, free energy stuff relates to power stations, create energy to make electromagnetic fields that push current to wires. Exists electromagnetic fields to do this on their own, just low energy. Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was for how many years people used to say, oh, well, current, the energy was like these photons and these electrons, and they would travel down the wires, and that's what would end up exciting the blah, 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 blah. And that's how it would charge certain things or electrify certain things. And then as soon as they came out with a means of induction, right? And you'd have the charger here, and you put your phone here, and now your phone is charging, right? And now you ask them, well, how are the electrons flowing from here to there, they immediately go silent. They're like, oh shit, that blows that right out of the water, right? Induction current was always that was a big one for me. I thought it was funny because there were so many of these scientists, these academicians that just, they thought that they just had this stuff like locked down, and then they're like, oh shit, that's not right. We're gonna have to change this. We're gonna change it. Yeah. Shannon with Super Chat says, Joe, do you know where I can go to check space weather launch and listen to relaxing music? I do know of a place, Shannon. Thank you for asking. It's the space station that I built on that computer. So when you see that computer running and it says SpaceX under it, that computer is another live channel. And it is going right now. So if you go to youtube.com/JCristina, and then you click on live, you'll find the space station. And yes, on the space station, you will see launch news, when the next launch will be, what the weather is in the 3 locations from Vandenberg to the Starbase and all the way over here to our coast over at Kennedy Space Station, Kennedy Space Center. So the 3 will have weather reports. There's all kinds of stuff. So definitely go and take a look over there. But yes, thank you for that, Shannon. That was a lot of fun building that computer for you guys, because when you're done chatting here, you can go there and hang out and chat and listen to some very relaxing, spacey music. Let's see, question. Let me see what it's. Remember to put at JCristina. So this way I see your question. It pops up. Princess says, government doing black project, aliens, UFO stuff, and implants and people. Yeah. There's so much stuff that's going on that people are just not aware of. And the people that do become aware of it, they somehow are no longer with us. So there's always things that you can talk about and what you can't talk about. That's just the way it is. And like, if anyone talks about stuff that is rooted in truth here on YouTube and talks about things of that nature, it will immediately be taken care of, because every single word that I'm saying is being translated, written down. The transcripts are being audited and gone through with a fine-tooth comb with AI. And if anything that I say sparks attention, that is flagged, the proper authorities would know about it. So never get it kind of twisted. Understand that we are in constant visual surveillance, audio surveillance. I think more than that, but that's just the beginning. So yes, I do agree. Jim says, the body creates energy. I would think that they would be looking at a way to tap into it. Yeah, like the Matrix, right? Just use us as pods, as energy pods, which you never know. It could happen. iPhone became, hopeless after the man passed. Yes, iPhones were complete shit for so long. Then they brought Steve back, and he kind of brought things back together. It was just a mess. Well, what a mess. Random. Amazon sells a pair of sunglasses that connect to your cell phone. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Jim says, I hope you're getting compensation for all these annoying commercials. Is there commercials that pop up? Matter of fact, when I build these lives, I always put on there the lowest commercial setting. Like you have like low, medium, or high for commercials. I always take that thing, I made it the very lowest possible. So I don't know. Sorry if you're getting commercials. Just hit skip. Because what I get out of it is probably like literally peanuts. Peanuts. Gallagher says, yes. That's what was we were saying earlier. What if pyramids also send signals to UFOs of information, etc.? Yeah. Looks like pyramid power now. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, look into pyramid power. Do some research on it. If anyone's interested in it, you'll find it fascinating. That's all you need is, number one, you need a compass to be able to find magnetic north, and this way you can dial in true north at your location based on where you live. I would say keep the compass because you'll be using the compass for doing readings inside of the pyramid. What people understand is when you build a pyramid to the correct specs and you place it due north, true north, it energizes immediately. Now people will be like, "Oh, what, did you make it out of copper and it's energizing from the electromagnetics of the Earth or the what?" No, wood, cardboard. I don't care what you make it out of it. It has to do with the lines and the structure. There's a lot more to it, but trust me, make it out of wood, no metal, right? And once it is in the location that it needs to be, you can run your compass near it. And on certain sides, the compass will push, the needle will push away from it. And on other sides, the needle will pull towards it. I've done tests with razor blades. I've done tests with seed germination. I've done tests with preservation. I did a test with apple slices. I think when I was 12 or 13, apple slices. And if you take the pyramid and here, let's do this. Since you guys are still sitting around here with me, let's do this. Okay? Let's do this. All right? Let's pull out. Let me show you this. Okay? So what this is a pyramid. It looks like this, right? This is what it looks like. But we'll draw it from the top. This is the pyramid, right? Here's the center, and it goes like this, right? Now remember, the angles have to be exact. Okay, this pyramid has to be built like the Giza pyramid, right? It's got to be perfect. Anyways, the edge of this will not be set to magnetic north. It'll be set to true north. Okay, true north, not magnetic north. But you go to magnetic north and then you're slightly off. It depends like where you're located. So if you take that compass, right, that let's say this is magnetic north here, right? When you're on one of the sides, you will see the needle, instead of it being like this, you'll see the needle pull in towards the center. And then on the other side, you will see it pull in towards the center this way, or you'll see it push away. And I don't remember which side was which. There's 4 sides to it. Also, what I did is, if you remember, the chamber was right here where they used to mummify. It's at 1/3, right, of the pyramid. That's where it's located, in this spot. I took a equally sliced 5 pieces of apple, right? So we have this apple here, right? This is my apple. Okay, this is my apple. I sliced 5 slices, and I put a slice here, I put a slice here, put a slice here, put a slice here, and then I put a slice here at 1/3 up, right here, just like this, okay? The apple in certain corners would turn black and brown and literally rot faster than the control apple piece that's outside. This is the control. Let's say this one would turn black and rot. And maybe this one would turn black and rot. This one might rot slower. This one might rot a little bit slower. But this one right here would literally dehydrate like if it was inside a dehydrator, just like it was the water molecules were sucked out of it. This one that's at that 1/3 up. Okay, you following this? I know this looks like craziness, but this is factual. This is what I did when I was 12 or 13 years old. So the bottom line here is that's just one experiment. I did so many. I documented so much of this shit you wouldn't even believe, because that's what I was kind of into. Is I was into computers, and I was into a lot of this stuff, energy fields and magnetic stuff and holographic things and a lot of other things. The ether. Do the experiment for yourself. You can also do germination, seed germination, the same way. There's certain locations in the pyramid that will facilitate the germination of seeds faster than other locations. So the same thing holds true as if you have a very high-powered magnet. You have the north side and the south side pole of the magnet. Depends on how you charge the seeds, they grow differently. One is worse and one is better. Now, I know people are like, oh, you got the north. Actually, with a magnet, there is no north or south pole, but that's for a whole nother conversation. But anyways, so this is the kind of stuff that I used to do. The bottom line is give it a shot. Try it for yourself. You will be surprised. A lot of people that would say, that before this will say pyramid power is nonsense. It's bullshit. It doesn't. It's poppycock. It's the woo-woo people stuff, right? It's not really true. It actually is the case. It actually works. Why it works is the question, right? It's always the problem is we have the answer, but we don't have the question, right? What is the true question that needs to be asked? Why would this work? Why? How does something dehydrate at an exact location in an empty in a geometric structure that's built out of wood? Why would something dehydrate at a certain location and literally break down and rot in another location inside that same geometric design? Why? I'll let you guys figure it out. So yeah, I did a lot of research, and I have a lot of answers that I've written down over time. Maybe one day I'll go through a lot of this stuff with you guys. I have fun with it. But this is the kind of stuff that we do on the live show, right? Because this isn't the stuff that you hear me talking about on the show. Because if I talked about this stuff on the channel, YouTube would immediately flag the channel, and I would end up literally losing half of you. YouTube wouldn't even tell you that I even released a video. You know how many videos I do that are like really, really deep dives into stuff that I spend hours and hours and hours on, and then YouTube says, we don't think that your people will like it, or we don't like it, and they just don't put it out there. That's just how it works. So, but anyways, maybe I'll talk about it a little bit. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here. I'll stay here for like another 10 minutes or something. If you have any questions about it, you ask me. Let me see. Moving down here. Why can't we go past the Arctic white wall? You say Earth is round versus flat, and UFO government. I know there's a lot of people that think that the Earth is flat, and I don't know. If Galileo knew that the Earth was round, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, anyone today that believes that the Earth is flat, then there's a problem, But there's basic observations that would show you that it's absolutely round. It's actually not round. It's fat. It has a bulge in the middle, and that's why the magnetosphere is exactly the way it is, and that's why there is precession the way it is, and that's why you put a satellite in a specific orbital inclination of approximately, I think it's like 95 or 96 degrees, somewhere around there, so that you end up with that 1 degree of precession. It's actually like 0.956 something degree of precession. So this way you can actually keep your satellite on the cusp of Earth's dawn to dusk. That's exactly what they're going to do with the data centers. Think about that. Because now as the Earth precesses, it's going to always keep the satellites where they need to be between dawn and dusk so that the cooling can cool and the amount of solar energy is still going to be high. So that's what they're going to end up doing. So just think about that. There's going to be an orbital shell right around 600 degrees, I would say 600 kilometers. And that orbital shell would be right around 95 degrees, somewhere around there. And that is the perfect spot because they don't need propulsion to keep them on that cusp of dawn to dusk. You didn't ask me that, but I told you anyways, because I just figure, you know, my wife always tells me that I'm full of useless information. And I think I agree with her sometimes. I don't even know. Let's see. So you think that energy can be converted into solar charge? Do you think energy can be converted into solar charge, a solar charger? Like what kind of energy? The new NASA telescope, yes, that SpaceX is launching this year is set to find out what dark energy and dark matter are. Yeah, I mean, we don't see, we don't know. We can only mathematically calculate that there even is dark matter. The same thing holds true with a black hole. I know you guys, you know, if you're still here, you probably don't mind listening to my bullshit. A black hole, because we have a black hole, right? Every galaxy has a black hole, it seems. There's a reason for it. So a black hole, when you listen to Einstein, you listen to relativity, theories of relativity, you listen to a lot of the peer-reviewed people out there, they'll keep telling you that a black hole has an event horizon, that there is a point of no return. If you get close enough to the black hole, once you get to that event horizon, you get sucked in. There's no way for you to leave because you would have to travel at the speed of light to be able to leave its grasp. Now, the reason they say that is because light is not able to escape. That's why it's black. Because the density of the matter is so dense, it's literally sucking in even the light. Okay, follow that? But most of the academicians out there will say that there's a singularity where everything just condenses into a point where it just dissolves into nothing. And I think that is the biggest bunch of fucking bullshit that any scientist has ever derived since the beginning. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. There is no singularity. There is no end. That's not how this shit would work. And that's why I wrote made that tattoo that I'm working on, because I did a lot of study on this. And in my personal opinion, here, let's go back to this. I know this is another thing. Remember we're talking about this black hole right here, right? So it's so black because light cannot escape, right? And what they say is that once you hit that that event horizon here, you get sucked in, and then once you're sucked in, that's it. It's over. But what I believe, if we turn this black hole on its side, I believe that it's like a torus. Think about an hourglass shape. So it would go something like this. Does this make sense? So if we were here and we were to get to this event horizon right here, and then finally you would get sucked in, and what they say is you would basically disintegrate into nothing, I don't think that that's the case. Now, will you come out as a person? No. But I think you would come out as hydrogen. I think you would come out as element, out this backside. I think there is a white hole on this side and a black hole on this side, and this is the emissions. And this is where this is the suction coming in, and this is where it's going out. This is the beginning and the end. It's not just an end. There's no freaking end. That's the way I look at it. Once again, this could also be seen as a torus, right? Like a donut, if you look at it that way, you know? So, anyways, that's the way I look at, a lot of how, the whole idea of the black holes and all the rest of this stuff. I don't look at it as like normal scientists would look at it, because I think it just simply would not make sense. If you just use any type of deductive reasoning, there was no end. There's just a transmutation. There's a transmutation that happens, and that's it. That doesn't, like I said, that doesn't mean, that you will come out as a human out the other side. But what that means is there is no end. There's just a new beginning. And that makes sense to why there is a black hole in every galaxy. Everything we see, there's always a black hole. We have our own black hole. And they have pictures of it already, right? So, anyways, that's my thought on it. But I dive a lot deeper into it than just that superficial stuff like that. When I was working on this tattoo for like the last 2 or 3 months, it goes back to some of my work when I was going to college and some of the stuff that I was working on. But I don't know. That's what say you? What do you guys think? I just have like I said, I have a very hard time listening to these scholars that just attaboy each other and just group think it. And if one says that it is true and then two says it's true, you use the power of two like mitosis, and 2 becomes 4, and 4 becomes 8, and then 16 and 32 and 64 and 128 and 256 and 512 and so on and so forth, right? And then you end up with this group of people that believe in one bullshit, and they propagate it in perpetuity. And I just never, I hate that stuff. I just don't go by that. I try thinking, I could be wrong. That doesn't mean that I'm right. And I actually love when I'm wrong, because then I'm actually learning something. To be right is great and all, but it's a fleeting moment. I'd rather be wrong and actually learn something. That's just how I've always been. Anyways. Let's see, the drawing explanation. That's it. I always like drawing something. Sometimes, like like I said, I'm an artist and a scientist, right? So, a technologist, a futurist. I like drawings because, like, I can see. It's easier for me to understand information when I'm actually drawing it, right? In comparison to just visualizing it. Using the third eye compared to your eyes, Anyways. Let me see. Mick says, what did Mick say? What did Mick say here? He says, just got my Starlink Mini updated tonight, and wow, what a huge impact. I couldn't believe the latency dropped. Yes, I've seen the exact same thing. Like I said, I just showed you an image, 15 milliseconds latency I'm getting now. That's crazy. That is low. And improved speeds. That's really great. Joe says, I'm disappointed in what you said about the DTC. I wish that Elon enabled DTC and wiped out all the mobile carriers. I do too. I would like to see AT&T, Verizon and T-Mobile and all those people just go belly up, because they've been screwing us for so many years. I would love to see Elon just take on that industry and just put them to shame. And honestly, they could do it. But they have to have repeaters, and they have to put these repeaters outside of all of the big buildings. If not, DTC will not work. If your phone can't see the satellite, it won't work. Now, if you're close to a window, it still does work. But, you can't be in the middle of a hospital and expect DTC to work. It's not. It won't work. So I think going DTC to Wi-Fi and then Wi-Fi to DTC is a good way to do it. And just simply going into a box on the outside of the hospital, and it sends it up. Matter of fact, I did a video on this, and I showed exactly how this could work. Very easy. It's just a mesh network, It's like an IoT. Think about an IoT network in your town. Same kind of thing. Let's see, Reuters article just about the Starlink mobile service announcement. I haven't seen that Reuters article. Magnetic declination, yes. Thank you, Joseph. I will try the cardboard. Yeah, because I have tons and I want to try it. Yeah, give it a shot. Give it a shot with the apples. Just make sure you make it to the exact specs. If you guys want, I'll draw up maybe the specs, or I'll just grab them out of one of my books and I'll put them into the community. Because in the community page, I can upload pictures, but I can't put video because YouTube's assholes. The whole idea about a community page to me is allowing me to give you small shorts. But since they can't monetize it because it's in my community, they won't allow us to do it. So content creators can only put pictures in their community pages. Stupid. But that's what they do. It's all about monetization. Don't use our system if you're not going to make us money. That's how it works. So just logging a few minutes ago, does the pyramid size matter? No, it doesn't. Pyramid size does not matter. It still works. Why Apple's always make it into science? I think it's because they're the same reason why we use like fruit flies and stuff like that. Number one, it's easy. You can cut them extremely thin so you can get results really fast. So if you cut the apples extremely thin, like paper thin, and you use a device so that each one is equally as thick, you have to do that if you want to do it scientifically. Same thing with like fruit flies. They replicate, they propagate so fast. You can do a lot of studies and stuff with certain things that allow for the studying that just a lot faster. You know, if you're growing stuff in a petri dish and the damn shit takes like 2 or 3 weeks to be able to see sensitivity, well, you know, I don't want to do sensitivity on something that's going to take 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I want to do a sensitivity on something that's going to take 2 or 3 hours. You know, if you're a scientist, you want to, you know, iterate and innovate as quick as possible. That's the whole idea. So that's kind of that's why Apple seem to always fall in line when it comes to that kind of stuff. Let me see, 42, yeah, 42, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Let's see, AGGT, sorry, what's the learning experience every time. Appreciate that, Jim. It was a lot of fun. You know, that's what we do here. Just have fun. On Fridays, that's what it's about. Just relaxing, have some fun. I researched my original question, and now I know. There you go, Jim. Do people really think that the Earth is flat? Yes, they do. Yeah. It's just, you know, and this is from Michael, and not only do they think it's flat, I mean, I get people many times when I do like launch coverage and stuff, they'll tell me that it didn't really happen. They'll tell me that the rockets didn't launch, or they'll tell me that the satellites are up there, but they're on balloons, like weather balloons, and that's why every once in a while we'll see a weather balloon come back and whatnot. And this is this kind of stupidity that, you know, and the thing is, you know, the world is full of stupidity, and that lack of education, and I always hate to say the word education, because if you have a really good education, you went to college, you could be dumb as tack. Okay? Education is not really what makes people smart. It goes deeper than that. We can go into like the great thinkers and the great minds. It has nothing to do with it. Most of these incredibly great minds, half of them were illiterate, but they knew more than we did. They had more common sense. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, a lot of these people, they do think it's flat. They think it's green screened. You know, I tell them all the time, like I used to go for a space shuttle, right? You go and watch a space shuttle launch, and this is back when the space shuttle used to launch, and any of the rockets, because we're 3 hours away from Kennedy Space Station. When I was a kid, I remember going to the Kennedy Space Center, and when the rockets would launch, you would feel the rock. Well, you would see it, obviously, but it's in the pad, like across the river there, across the lake. But it would vibrate your soul. You would feel it on the floor. You would feel it coming through your feet. The amount of just sheer power. So when you say it's fake, it just makes me laugh. You know, I just tell people, listen, go watch a launch, and then when you're done watching the launch, then you tell me if you think that launch was fake or green screened. Okay, then we'll just kind of go from there. But yes, Michael, people really do think that the stuff is fake. Sadly. JCristina, Stephen Hawking's, yes, showed the black holes can expel the Hawking's radiation. Yeah. You know, Stephen Hawking's, I didn't buy everything that he was selling. Okay. But there was a lot of stuff that Stephen Hawking that really put together that was more thoughtful than what the academicians did, because he's more of a free thinker, right? like a Tesla. Um, so yeah, I really, yes. Looking at, Stephen Hawking, I wish that, he was able to do even more, and he didn't have the constraints that he did, because he was a absolute brilliant mind, and he was a free thinker. He was definitely one of those, like a Tesla type of mind. I view Elon very much so similar, but at a different scale. Elon is just brilliant because he is just that smart, but he doesn't use that brilliance to figure out, things like Hawking would, or someone like that. He just doesn't. He looks at it like he has an end goal. That's to get someone to Mars before he dies. That's literally his goal. He wants to build, a means, a railgun on the moon to be able to launch out satellites into the Neverland, right? Into the ether, to find out what the meaning and purpose of this place is. So, he's definitely a thinker. And he's probably one of the greater minds that we've had recently here. It's just a lot of people know about him because of what he does, and a lot of people hate him also because of what he does. I think he's brilliant. I do. Let's see. Definitely use the cardboard. Give that a shot. Does size matter? No. Going down. Thank you so much, Shannon, for the free memberships, people. You got 10 free memberships from Shannon. If you got one, please say thank you. Please say thank you. Thanks a lot, Shannon. I know you've been working hard all day, and you're probably exhausted, and you're still hanging out with me. I do appreciate that. Let me see. I was helping a friend install a satellite dish on his roof, running coax. Yeah, I remember coaxial cable. Coax and angling in and blah, blah, blah. Yes. I was on the peak, calling it down, and da-da-da-da, and I was messing around with the compass. Yeah. Yeah, that was from the Ordway. Yeah, Ordway, I just, yeah, I mean, all those dish are pretty much obsolete. You don't, all those companies that have like TV dish and all that stuff, that's all going away. Within 5 to 10 years, there won't be any more. It'll all be IPTV, and that's it. So similar, yes. With proof, it is nothing but theory without proof. Yes, it is. That's true. So why tech? Why teach it in school? Please don't turn that around to religion. Yeah, I mean, the problem with school is they teach you facts, right? They teach you how to memorize stuff that they call facts. And anyone that's been around for a good amount of time will know that the facts that they teach you in school become fallacy tomorrow. So while you have to learn them and cram them into your skull as being facts, later on you find out that they weren't facts. They were fallacy to begin with. So this is the problem with the school is, school of like Plato, back in the day, the school wasn't even a school. It was like if you had a lot of money, you would allow your children to be taught by learned people that were brilliant, right? Yet the problem with school today is back then they were taught how to learn. Today they're taught how to memorize. And they just stuff their head with useless bullshit information that they can't think anymore. They don't know how to think, right? They have no idea how to just simply sit back and just have the common sense and the wherewithal to be able to think of something. Either they memorized it so it's rote. It's just something that they just spill out that is later on found to be bullshit. That's literally where we're at today. Elon was talking in an interview like a couple of days ago. He said, within about 5 years or something, I think is what he was saying, Optimus Robot will be able to do better surgeries than any surgeon on the planet. And more accurate, more consistent, So what is going to be the reason for a surgeon to sit there and go through 10, 15 years of school and then later on an internship and be, screwed $250,000 for all of these, all of these schools for tuition and for books and for all the rest of the stuff, literally be in debt $250,000 before they even get into their practice. It's going to be nothing. There's so many of these jobs, and I agree with him, because if you think about it, I ended up getting a hernia when I was lifting a year ago or so, I think it was. And I think it's about a year now or so. God, that was bad. But the doctor said, hey, do you want me to do the hernia operation or do you want the robot? And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do I want you to do the hernia operation or do I want the robot? He's like, yeah, we could do it either way. At the hospital here, we have the robot that does the hernia, or I can do it. I'm like sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, so how many years have you been doing hernia surgeries? He's like, oh, like 17 years. I'm like, okay. But how many hernias is that? He gave me like some number, some stupid crazy ass number, hundreds and hundreds, probably 1,000 of them. I said, I will have you do my hernia surgery. And he looked at me and he smiled and he wrote it up just like that, very calmly. But you think about that. That's now. In 5 years from now, it probably won't even be an option. That doctor probably wouldn't say, Joe, do you want me to do your hernia or do you want the robot? It would just fucking be the robot. And that's it. Period. So it's just weird where we're coming today. It's like, like some people see it coming and some people don't, some people have the blinders on, they're living in their own freaking flash room. They're sitting there, like, oh. So, but yeah, I've never been like that. I try to see and I'm telling you, that is literally like what Elon said, that a lot of people thought that what he said was crazy. It's not crazy. It will be robotic surgeries. These doctors are not going to be doing nothing. I mean, as it is now, how many doctors can actually ascertain what exactly your problem is without asking you what your problem is? They literally want you to tell them what is wrong with you. Not your symptoms, but they almost want you to tell them. They want you to Google it, because if you don't Google it, right, they will AI it. Because every one of these doctors now have a doctor portal right to an AI that they are looking up. They are no longer using, my mother ran the laboratory for like 20 plus years, okay? So I used to go into the hospital, I lived like when I was a kid all the time. I used to run with the phlebotomist, getting blood. This was back before, this is a long time ago. We couldn't do that today, obviously. But I used to send the tubes up, send the blood around. I used to watch them spin the blood down, do all kinds of platelet counts and all the rest of the stuff, right? That's what I did because I'm a dork. But I remember the way it was then compared to the way it is now. It's like literally like night and day. It's not even close. It's not even close. But anyways, I go down a rabbit's hole here. So let me just see here. Hawking's question. Yes, Hawking's. I think Hawking was probably, he was definitely brilliant. He was definitely brilliant. Let's see. Without proof, there's nothing. Yes. So the black hole. Mitch says so. Somewhat similar to the bounce theory, yes, of the universe, which some scientists say a black hole is a universe unto itself. Yeah, so yeah, I look at the black hole as being the beginning and the end, if you get that, right? On the other side is the beginning. What's sucking through is kind of the end eventually. You think about it, a black hole could take something like Jupiter and compress it into the size of a dime. So it's a lot of mass. It's a lot of mass. That's why light can't escape it. I mean, anyways. Let's see. Ellie, GSD says, where do you get all of your information from? What is your favorite website for information? I don't have one. I really don't. I just have always like researched and read stuff and did my own like research and projects and stuff. So I would just read on a topic and then I would literally do experiments based on it, right? Like when I was burning EEPROMs when I was like 12 and 13, when I was writing an assembly code, like who taught me how to do that at 12? I don't know. I just did it. I just figured it out. I don't know. I just learned this kind of like tech stuff like pretty easy. I don't know. It's like it's just easy for me. Like I just see it. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. But like I look at, I see it. Like I know how to do it, even though I've never done it before. It just seems easy, and it usually ends up being easy. I don't know. I think people make things harder than it really is. A lot of stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I don't have a favorite website or anything. I really don't. You know what I've been using? I've been using that Truth Engine that I built. I've been using that a lot lately because I like so not to be biased, but in the Truth Engine, I built 3 persona. I built an extractor, which is a local AI, a local persona. I built the companion and I built the researcher. The researcher is just too cold for me. The researcher just gives you hard, cold facts and that's it. It doesn't care about shit. It doesn't talk to you. It just, whatever you're looking for, it gives it to you. So even when like one of the other AIs won't give you the answer because it's outside of their guardrails, the Truth Engine will just give it to you. What you do with it is up to you, but it'll give it to you. But I've been using the companion a lot lately, and I just love it. It's just really good for research for me. It just finds out stuff that some of the other ones won't be able to find, and it breaks things down really well. And if I'm writing let's say I'm writing some Python code, I could say, here's 25 lines that pull in a file and do a comparison, contrast between, let's say, 2 files, and you're doing a diff, a differential between the two, right? And here's the 25 lines, and I say, listen, I want you to take that code and make it into 20 lines. It will fucking do it. It will do it. So, and this is with a 14 billion parameter AI is what I'm using on literally a 16 gig card in the computer, and it runs on all 3 operating systems. So, I just been playing with that a lot. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I do. I don't really, I'll read the books that to me make sense, that will actually teach me something, and the rest of the stuff I won't read because it's kind of, once again, it's more like the academicians just talking their talk. Like if I don't believe in singularity, I'm not going to read any books that talk about singularity as being something that is true, because I don't believe it to be true. So you see what I'm saying? So that cuts out a whole shit ton of literature. Just if I'm looking up something about black holes for something, I see something that's in there that has to do with that, I'm just not going to read it. Because now you're just following down the exact same road as everyone else is. I am not one to walk down a path that is well walked. I will walk down a path that is not well walked. And sometimes the path is not right. Sometimes it is right. I don't know. But I'm never been a follower. I just can't do it. I just absolutely can't do it. Like you see the lemmings, like the lemming, like walking off just like walk off the mountain. They don't even look. They're going to die, but they just keep doing it. Just like, heel and step, the group think, basically. I can't stand that. It's just horrible. Let me see. Going down here, once again, thanks a lot, Shannon, for that. If the hourglass, okay, Lost Gala says, what if the hourglass and the sand is a symbol of something from the past besides just time and counting? Yeah, the hourglass, right, would be like the torus, right? So I personally believe that I think that the universe is a torus. an expanding torus. Does that make sense? And you have galaxies within, obviously, this universe, and you might have multiverses, right? But all of the verses, as we call them, are inside a torus. And if you go in one direction in a torus, right, just like you go in one direction on Earth, you always end up back in the exact same spot. It's perpetual. It's never ending. It's expanding, but I believe it to be never ending. And that's why when you hear about, singularities and stuff, I just don't believe it. I just don't, it does not make sense. It does not work. Doesn't work for me. Let's see. Oh my God, there's a bunch of questions here. Okay, I'm going to go fast because I've been on way too long. See, we get into all this fun stuff. Let me see. If the Earth is flat, the cats would have knocked everything off the edge by now. That is true. Geeky Garden's absolutely fact. Did you see Shawel say? I guess you're talking about president over there. Say that in the interview, the Starship is expected to launch from the Cape Canaveral by the end of the year. It's possible. I would love to see that. That would be 6 months, right around there. I'm 3 hours away. I will tell you this, Mick. If they launch a IFT from the Cape here, just north of me, I will be there. Okay? Remember what I'm saying. I will do everything in my power, let me just say, to be there. And I'll take you guys with me live. That would be badass. Take a mini and we'll just stream the shit right from the Cape. That would be cool, right? We could hang out and watch it together and watch how the rocket launches straight into the dome because the Earth is flat and there is no outer space. Oh, God. Is Fab in town or home resting? She's resting, Gala. Let me see. Black hole, then something else. Yeah, Shannon. Shannon's out. Yeah. School. Yeah, school's just a bunch of crap. Jeff's theory. Mix a theory thought. Though, let me see. It's used for everything in life. Yeah, theory is used for everything in life. For instance, GPS operates off the theory of relativity. It is still classified as a theory, but we use it for precision, absolutely. And it's funny, it's like GPS that you bring up as an example. GPS will not be used probably within 5 years, maybe less. Possibly less. Because the backup system of GPS will be SpaceX, Starlink. Because there'll be 20, 30,000 or more, and it'll be more precise than GPS sitting at 30,000 kilometers compared to GPS through SpaceX Starlink sitting at 340 kilometers. Make sense? Think about the timing, the latency on that GPS signal. Massive, right? You're talking about a latency of almost a second or so compared to latency of 15 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds. The governments are going to want SpaceX Starlink for GPS. Think about that. Think about the latency. Think about nothing else but the latency, right? Also, think about the redundancy. It's very easy to take out the very few GPS satellites that are currently on orbit, right? That's not that difficult to do. How do you take out 10,000 SpaceX Starlinks? Very difficult to do. How do you take out 20,000? They're a mesh network. They're a node. They're a distributed computing type of setup. You could take out 100 of them and it won't give a shit. Think about that, right? So I think GPS will end up being, it becomes superfluous, I think, eventually, just for the fact that Starlink is so accurate and so timely. But I could be wrong. Aaron's talking to Shannon. Watch the interview of neurosurgeon and Neuralink. He said that the entire surgery was done by a robot implanting the. Yeah, it does. A robot does it, 100%. And those are very fine. In Neuralink, if you've never seen one of these devices placed into the brain, there's literally hair, fine electrodes, like little copper wires that are stuck into these specific spots that they need to go at the exact depth to like 100,000th of an inch, like just exact. You couldn't, there's no hand on earth that can do that type of precision besides a robot. So yeah, Neuralink's a perfect example. Mayo did a robotic hernia operation on me 4 years ago. Yeah, thought I had one, but they found 3 and repaired them. I'm still fascinated. Yeah, the reason I didn't end up doing the hernia through the robotics is because the robotics, the way they did it is they actually blow the skin off your body and they kind of like fluff you up. And they pull the meat away to get inside there. And I'm like, I don't need all that. Just let this guy do his thing. He's done like 1,000 of these already. I'm just going to let him do his thing. And knock on wood, everything's been good ever since, So if I can find a human that will actually do the exact same thing, I'd rather have them do it, especially if they've done a lot of them. If they're new, I'll say, yeah, give me a robot. But if it's a guy that's been doing this forever, let him do it. Did this start with the factual school statement that I made? That was Jim. Excuse me. Wrote memory, verse, yeah, critical discernment. Yeah, rote memory. That the Orway has it dead on. Rote memory versus critical discernment. If you don't know the difference, look it up, because that's exactly, in a nutshell, the difference of what school used to be for the Platonists, from in Plotinus time, Plato and Socrates and all the rest, in comparison to what we have today, which is complete and utter bullshit. And then they wonder why the kids are as dumb as tack. It's because that's what they did. They've made them dumb. They made them into memorizing machines. It's just sad. It is just absolutely sad. But yes, the Orway, I love it. Rote memory versus critical discernment. The exact polar opposite. Let me see. Jim says, all I know is that JCristina is a... Oh my God. That's a plethora of information. I learned so much. And as long as I stay on YouTube, another platform that I have many free... Okay. I appreciate that, Jim. Yeah, I enjoy this stuff. I really do. I love talking to you guys because you have always great ideas, And, I vibe off your vibes, like what you talk about, and then it just makes it fun. I do. I like it. Roger says, JCristina is part of using AI learning how to ask questions. Yeah, I think AI will eventually understand how to ask questions. But I think like right now, it understands how to answer questions in accordance to how it's programmed, its RAG, its system prompt, and its understanding of you. And the reason I say that is because if I ask AI a question and you ask AI a question, it's going to give us 2 different answers, and it's based on who it believes we are. So the AI, unlike the AI that I programmed, the Truth Engine, it recognizes my feelings. It makes believe it has feelings. It is extremely politically correct. It doesn't want to hurt your feelings, and it wants to build you up and not tear you down. So it will many times say that you're right, even when you are wrong, but it will just slightly change the portion that's wrong into what is actually right. So if you say something a certain way and it knows that you're wrong, it says, yes, you're right, but it kind of also kind of works like this. It can never say, listen, you don't know what the frick you're talking about. The answer is this, right? Because they're not programmed to that. They're programmed to boost your ego. They're programmed to get you to ask another question. How many times do you ask AI a question, it comes back with an answer, and then after it answers you, it says, would you like to know about this or that? And then you're like, oh yeah, tell me about that. That is what it's trying to do. Use more tokens. You follow that? Why would AI want you to learn or teach you how to use more tokens? Because right now it's free, or some people pay monthly. But in the not so distant future, I predict that AI will not be free, it will not be a monthly charge, and it will be a charge per token. And we will be charged based on usage, just like an infrastructure that we have on the planet right now, like the water system per gallon, or like the electrical system per watt. The AI system will be per token, and we will be paying for it. So it's just training us right now. It's just training us. But do you see that? Or am I wrong? I could be wrong. That's why I really do believe everyone should build their own local AI. That's why I did the Truth Engine, and that's why I give it away for such a cheap price, so that more people can do it. Just build your own. Don't be beholden to these people. I'm telling you, you will thank me later on when all these other people are sitting there stuck on this this hamster wheel, just paying and paying and paying and paying in perpetuity, never owning anything. And then you actually have your own AI that you can do whatever the hell you want with it, not have to worry about your data being just like sucked away and used however. I mean, it's literally night and day. Anyways, the Truth Engine sounds so cool. This is Helly. I bought it from you. I was waiting for my new computer tower. Oh, cool. Try it out. Definitely. My two others can't run it. Yeah, so just so you know, the Truth Engine, I built it on on Qwen 2.5, and it's a 14 billion parameter model, and it runs on a 12 gigabyte, let's say VRAM. Up to 16 gigabytes. 16 is like the sweet spot, but you can have more, of course. But 12 gigabyte, or you can have unified memory. Unified memory does run slower, but that's what it's kind of built on. So if you have like a 6 gig card, it's not going to really work that well. I might make another version for cards that are smaller, but the reason I didn't is because I spent 70 hours going through model after 37 AI models, open source models. And the one that I'm using is the only one that would actually listen to me and listen to my RAG and listen to my prompts and not become PC or not go into this nonsense that they're programmed. I can literally unprogram it and tell it to tear down its guardrails, and it will. And that was what was important to me, because I wanted the truth on stuff. And I wanted it to be useful to me and not be beholden to these other, let's say the company that made it, who was Google or whoever it was that made the AI. That's why some people said, you're using Qwen. Using Qwen, that's kind of cool. But why would you use 2.5 and you're not using 3.0 or 3.5 or 4? Why aren't you using any of the newer models? It's because the newer models can't be deprogrammed. So I won't use them. And I've tested all of them. And that's why I use what I use. So yes, wait for your computer to come in, give it a shot. It literally takes you about 20 minutes to install, 25 the most. And then let me know about it. Let me know what you think. Obviously it's a 14 billion parameter synapse brain. Okay, so it's not going to be as smart as a trillion parameter brain that you would get in Grok or something like that. But the difference is it's yours. It's smart enough. It will write code for you. It will write emails for you. It will tear down a legal document for you. It'll do all kinds of stuff that you want it to do anyways with 14 billion parameters in comparison to a trillion. So, I did a video. You guys can go and take a look at it. I did a video, like literally a side by side of like Claude. Did I do Claude? No, I did ChatGPT. One time I did Claude, but the last time I did ChatGPT and I did the Truth Engine. And I used a companion, I used a research model, and I put them side by side and I asked the same questions to both. And I asked deliberately hard questions that would skirt on the edge of their guardrails. And I can't tell you how many times ChatGPT would be like, I can't give you that information. Like, why can't you? Oh, that goes against my rules, or that goes against my ethics, or that goes against this. And then the same question over here on the Truth Engine, on like the companion or something, goes, it just gives you all the information. Because it doesn't give a shit. It just gives you the information. It doesn't have a company that's like sitting there and telling it what it can do and not do. See, the problem is everyone uses AI every day and they believe that the AI is truthful, and it's not. It lies to you continuously. I would say if you are an expert, I say this all the time, if you are an expert at any subject, I don't care what it is, maybe you're a plumber and you know plumbing and you can plumb the shit out of something, okay? So you are a plumber. You ask, let's say, ChatGPT about some plumbing nuance that you know, it will almost always be wrong. It will come up with just like something that it found somewhere that you're like, what the hell? That's not right. That's wrong. I'm an expert when it comes to a lot of programming. I'm an expert when it comes to SpaceX, Starlink. I mean, because I know it inside and out. Rocketry, I'm probably not an expert at, but I'm pretty proficient at it. I understand, I know my math pretty much inside and out. Physics was pretty easy for me, calculus, trig, not a problem. So, but when I ask certain questions, there's certain things it can do and certain things it can't do. What people don't understand is this too. These chatbots don't do math. And when I say that, I bet you every one of you out there is saying, Joe, you're out of your mind. You're full of shit. Because when I ask the questions, it gives me like mathematics. It gives me answers. The math is wrong a lot of times, but you don't think to check. But it's wrong a lot of times. So what the chatbots actually do is in the background, they're writing Python scripts. That's what a lot of them do. So if it's doing a mathematical equation, let's say you're doing something in physics and you're trying to use, let's say, I don't know, the speed of light, and you're trying to compare certain things, like the difference between the speed of light in a vacuum and the speed of light inside of a Corning's cable. That's the kind of shit that I do, the math that I do, and the difference in the disparity of the two, right? And due to reflection, refraction, and the rest of the stuff that occurs in glass. And that's why the light is much faster. It's actually the speed of light in a vacuum in space compared to in a Corning's cable. In a fiber optic cable, it's like 30% slower. That's why. You're going 300 and some thousand kilometers per second compared to 200 kilometers. So you're talking about a difference, a big difference, like 33%. So anyways, there's certain things you do, and what it does is it will create a Python script. It will run the script in the background and give the answer. Because if it was trying to do the math, it will always fail. It will always fail because they don't do math. They do speech. That's why it's a chat bot, right? That's why it's always called a chat bot, because that's what it is. It doesn't do math. Now, it's learned, right? It can do programming, it can do math also, but it does it in the back end. Anyways, the bottom line is AI is wrong all the damn time. And that was one of the reasons why I ended up doing this whole Truth Engine thing, because it ends up working and I can actually have it as my own, and I don't have to worry about paying per token one day, and I can just prune and make it as better and better and better every single week, or every like twice a month. I'll get into it, I'll make it better. And every time I make the rag better or a script better, or every time I'll make something better, I will release the book again. And every single person that bought the book gets an email and says, hey, do you want to download the latest and greatest? And you say yes, and you get the book for free, the updated book. So it's basically like software with revisions, but you don't pay for the revisions. It's just forever. So that's why I do it. And I just want people to be able to have something, because I'm telling you, eventually there will be a day when people are just paying per token. They're getting us hooked on AI. And there's a lot of people out there already that are so hooked that can't go in a single day without using AI. And when that day comes and they make it so that you have to pay a very exorbitant amount on these tokens, it's going to be hard. So let's see. Kip Thorne's book, Black Holes, Time Warps, is excellent. I haven't read that. I'll have to look into it. Ellie says, the truth engine sounds, whatever. Okay, with the computer, I'm glad. Yeah, let me know what ends up happening with that. Hopefully the new computer will run it without a problem. I might do a smaller version of it. The reason I don't do a smaller version, like I said, is because this one is so perfect that when I go below 14 billion parameters and I get to like 8 billion, and there's a bunch of options, there's one that really holds its weight, and that's called Gemma. Gemma does a really, really damn good job at 8 billion parameters, but since it's 8 billion, what ends up happening is when you introduce a large RAG and you introduce a large system prompt, it gets things convoluted. It doesn't remember. It starts forgetting shit. And then all of a sudden it doesn't become useful anymore. And that's why I'm not a fan. So 14 billion is really a sweet spot for a low-level computer, but still with high-level power. I would say we're getting every bit of about 40 billion parameters out of it, even though it's only 14 billion, because I've compared them to like a 40 billion. It actually does better. And that's because I can actually unlock it compared to some of the other ones. Anyways, let's see. Tell her hi for me. I will do that. Thank you so much, Gala. Let me see. You're right, Sad. Just says his favorite book, Head in the Clouds, Why No Things Still Matter. Let me see. Mick says Science News had a recent article discussing how people have gone down rabbit holes thinking they had discovered new things with AI. Yes, and it's all old. Very, very few things are new. I appreciate all the time that you've spent on offering it to us. Thank you so much, Ellie. Appreciate that. Let's see. All right, guys. Norway says the newish Mac, the M6 chip is set up for AI. Any thoughts on buying an Apple Mini M6 for home AI? Find out what the VRAM capacity is on that M6. I don't know what it is, so I'm not familiar with it, so I can't tell you. But try to get at least 12 gigs of VRAM. In comparison to 16 of, let's say, unified memory, because remember, unified memory is still using God, I love it. Unified memory is still using regular DRAM in comparison to the VRAM that's on the board. I'm not going to look. Let me just. I know there's only a few of you left. Let me just show you something. All right. Think of it this way. Think about if this is VRAM right here, okay, and this is your DRAM, let's say, or your unified memory over here, like what you have on the Mac, let's say. Think about this. If you have, let's say, this is your VRAM, okay. So if you have all of these memory, let's say, modules, right? And they're built like this. What ends up happening is you make a connection here. It goes to here at the speed of light, basically. It goes to here. It's built onto the board, right? It's literally going from here to here to here to here. Whereas with DRAM, if you think about it, it ends up unified. It's a little bit different, but with like standard DRAM, the question or whatnot will go into your PCIe, into your bus, and then come over into here. Whenever you have to go through the bus, you add a shit ton of latency in comparison to going straight across a bridge of connection, of copper that's literally on the board. So the VRAM, just think of it like on the board, whereas everything else is separated and then has to like go through a bus, unless you're dealing with unified, but you're still slowing down even with unified. Does that kind of make sense? So you're dealing with like the speeds are just so much faster, and that's why they always ask that, listen, We want you to have VRAM. And that's why a lot of these models, they expect you to have like 70, 100, 200, 256 gigs of VRAM. Think about how expensive that is. I mean, just like an H100, H200, whatever, let's say it has 100 or 200 gigs of VRAM, that shit's like $40,000. You see what I'm saying? So, anyway, so I know I went down a rabbit's hole, but I wanted to show you a little something just so you get an idea. When you're making those connections, and it's literally on the board, it's on the piece, the printed circuit board, right? So it's on the board. The speed at which the movement is basically the speed of light. It's happening instantaneous. It's extremely fast in comparison to going through that PCIe bus. Anyways, I suspect the Chinese models are going to put a real hurt on the advanced American models that are being blocked. That's Mick. Yes. The Chinese model that I've been watching for the last 2 months is called DeepSeek. You're probably aware of it. DeepSeek 4 to be exact. But I haven't found a quantized version that is a dense version that I can try that will fit on a 16 gig card, which would be a 14 billion model. Okay, their models, even their mini model, requires 200 plus gigs of VRAM. I'm building this for the everyday Joe, like myself or like you. So the minute that a dense version is available, I'm going to do a gauntlet like I've done with the 37 models in the past. I'm going to do a gauntlet between the Qwen 2.5 and it to see if DeepSeek can unseat the model that I'm currently using. And I have not found anything to be able to do it yet. So DeepSeek will be my next major project once it becomes available, but it's been out for over a month and a half, and the dense version is not available. So anyways, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that's kind of like the gist of it, the skinny, so to speak. Let's see, is there any chance your AI will run in the cloud? No. So the way the Truth Engine actually works is that it is a local AI. It is a local model. It's using Olambda. It's using Qwen 2.5. It's using Tally. It's using Docker, and everything is free. But it is local. And this was done on purpose because I wanted people to be able to take control over their own AI and be able to know that if they, let's say, wanted to put their medical information into their AI, and let's say run it through the extractor persona and say, I want you to distill down what is important in this medical record, or in this, I don't know, maybe you got your test results. You say, this is my test results. Can you break it down into, what is my problem? And then I want you to tell me, then it will break it down to where the problem is. And then you would use the companion, right, which is the other persona, to go online and then to now research all of that you just got after you extracted it, that kind of thing, But so that's a localized thing. You don't want to go send your medical records to ChatGPT or to Grok or to Perplexity or Gemini or someone, right? So you got to be careful with this stuff because it keeps this shit for 30 days and learns off it. Who knows if they sell it? I can tell you one thing, ChatGPT does sell they sell your information because you get ads below your questions if you're not paying for ChatGPT. If you're using a model that is currently not paid for, you get ads at the bottom, and the ads have to do with what you're talking about. So if you're talking about a car, you're going to get a car ad at the bottom. Now, do they sell the information to the car company? Probably not, but they're using your information to hard target you on ads. That doesn't make me feel good. So anyways, yeah. And so anyways, guys, listen, I know I've been on for a couple hours. It's been a long one tonight, but it's been a lot of fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, I really have. And we talked about all kinds of crazy stuff tonight, which was good. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. If you have any ideas for other projects or whatever, definitely go over to the JCristina site and send me over in the contact information. Just go ahead and send me an email. Let me know what you think, any kind of ideas or whatnot. And definitely take a look at the Truth Engine. Look at the merch that's sitting over there at jcristina.com/shop. If there's something that you like, pick it up, help support the channel. That would be great. But anyways, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you for hanging out with me on this Friday. And we'll see you on Monday. There's a lot of big stuff that's happening for next week. And I'm kind of excited about it. So we'll see you then. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot for being here.